So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last
We are here, and I'm excited to get into week number 2. It is time you missed our faces and maybe have a newfound appreciation for some shiny new headphones over on my left. We'll see how that goes. My name is Orbital. With me is the best minion to ever wander off the rift. It is RandomMinionCaster, and we will be your casters for the upcoming matchup for week 2 between a couple teams that may or may not have luck or misfortune blessing their games. RMC, how you doing today?
Well, bro, misfortune doesn't matter right now. We're not going to be seeing her. There is, however, yeah, it's sort of a weird matchup we find ourselves in, a weird world we find ourselves in, Orbital. And,
yes.
you know, it's been a while since both of us have been on the CBLOL broadcast. It feels like it's just yesterday with the amount of international games we got to watch. But it's also been like 2 months, I think, or somewhere around that since CBLOL as a league has actually been running. So let's start talking about our opening match for today, because you're kind of alluding to it. We have ourselves VKS versus Furia, and in a split where there's a lot of sort of classic, League of Legends classic being back and everything. There's nothing classic about this matchup. VKS, they've been around a long time. Furia, a bit newer. They don't really have any rivalries going for them, but they do have an odd matchup with new names coming in for today. So we can get their rosters up. We can talk a little bit about sort of the new names coming in. We'll start with VKS, of course. They had a bit of a meltdown last split by the end of it, kind of changing out the entire coaching staff and whatnot. The only players they kept was Desames and Mirio to kind of rebuild around players with a lot of potential, but Mirio especially I feel like crashed out earlier this year and did not perform. Then they promoted Zekus from their academy team, the top laner who I've long been lauding and saying he deserves to be in tier 1. In the bot lane they promoted Scamber as well to cover for Kai Wing, a big import which really didn't work out, unfortunately. Once again, she seemed to have a bit of a history of imports not necessarily performing here in Brazil the way they're meant to. And then Jeskla in AD which is a new one and an interesting one because he probably has the least experience of the entire team. He's not terribly well known. He was just playing in the Nexus League prior to this in Europe, which is like I've been told it's the equivalent of the LFL Div 2. So a bit of a newer name, not as experienced name. He's a Swedish AD carry, and while that sounds kind of random, if you think back to the last Swedish AD carry we had, well, not only did he dominate his league, not only did he help the team get to a win, he is now coaching VKS in the form of Smalley.
It's a lot of ways to get around it, and honestly this roster we saw as kind of this build up. Hey, we got to rebuild, we got to figure out some stuff, and we got to make sure that we're ready for the rest of the season. I don't think anyone really expected them to be able to take a lot of wins earlier. If they did, it was going to be scrappy, and yet they did. And when we talk about why this kind of magic happened for VKS, it's very important to mention they fought against a red that seemed to have some complications in the full BO3 series. They came out with a one win, one loss, one win in the BO3, so it was a little bit back and forth. And now you're coming into a matchup again where on paper, by normal standards, you don't really have an amazing shot. But for Furia, we got a little graphic that's gonna showcase that some complications have come up here for Furia. We got the starting roster. We got Gigo, Tuts, IU, and JoJo, and you might have recognized that someone is a little bit different coming into this. Lux is in here, and RMC, please explain why.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Lux, you're not familiar with coaching staff because Lux is the coach for Furia and has actually been coaching for quite a few years. The last time I think he actually played professionally was, well, back in 2022, and you can see just barely on that picture here, the RID logo there. Yeah, he was on RID Academy back in 2022, and this last show match was in 2023 on CBLOL. So it's been a while since this guy has taken the Rift. Well, why is he here, and what happened to Superstar Tatu, the man who got Brazil a second slot at Worlds? Well, might have heard that he got suspended for one game. Apparently last week in the match against Los Grandes, he was caught messaging somebody in pick and bans. Now, what exactly the message was, or who he was messaging, that wasn't publicly announced. Rumor has it he was asking somebody about how to build graves in that game against Los Grandes. I don't know how true that is, but it did earn him a 1 series suspension. So Furia today have a random new face, and interestingly enough, Furia is actually one of the teams with the longest standing roster with Tatu. They've stayed together now for about 2 years, no changes. So having Lux come in is going to be a very different sort of look, no pun intended. And for me, when I look at this roster and this matchup, how does a coach fit in when he hasn't played for so long? Like, he might still be playing on set. I don't know how his mechanics are. But if Furia win today, Orbital, that raises a lot of questions because Tatu's amazing. He's a phenom. He came in right from tier 2, instantly made a huge splash, was picked up, when he was underage and couldn't even play in tier 2 and had to play on a trainee team for a year before he was eligible. Well, now if he's taken out, and they win, then it's not a mechanical issue at that point. Furia is having some sort of either discipline or comms issue in game. So I'm very much looking forward to see how Furia perform with Luxin replacing Tatu.
Yeah, I mean, also bouncing back from a loss against Los Grandes, Los Grandes had, they're a squad that they are looking very, very strong moving into the rest of split number 3, but that is neither here nor there. I do agree with you. When we look at Furia, it is important to identify, is this a Tatu issue, or is this, just the team communication? At the same time, wondering if VKS, if their luck will take them so far. I think for me, that's the other side of the coin, right? This team that has somehow, gotten the rabbit's foot and has walked away in some of these situations very, very well. We still need to see them really mesh together to bring things to a head. So I am curious to see where Fury go. I'm curious to see where VKS go as well. So I'm very, very excited as we're diving into this matchup, BO3, for your viewing pleasure. RMC, this matchup to open up week number 2 will be very entertaining either way, I think.
Sure. I mean, we're early on to season. Now, I do believe we are into picks and bans at this point as well, where it will be VKS with first pick coming through here. So they've banned out. Okay, we're seeing the Cassiopeia ban, which is kind of a staple. We're seeing so many enchanters now, which can flex into the bot lane as well. Cassiopeia, not the most easily punished mid laner. Her skilling always catches up. The other champion who we've seen kind of prioritized, at least back in week 1, was Locke, the newest champion in League of Legends. Now, he did get back-to-back nerfs in 26.14 and 26.15, and I believe we are on 26.15 today. So for now, at least between these two teams, it looks like Locke Prio has dropped down. He is not the focus. Instead, it will be Nocturne for Desamis, an old staple. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Locke gets through, Locke gets locked.
To be fair, the level of priority, though, I think is 100% fair to put on it because it got picked first instead of banned first. So that priority shift in there, I think, has shifted. So this is VKS saying we knew it was going to happen because they prioritized the Nocturne first, and matching into the Shen there, I like that kind of mix-up. So for Fury, you have identified we are going for a little bit of a lock carry. We are trying to get a little bit of that punch, give a little bit of extra shielding, and for VKS, now your question is, do we go for the Orianna Nocturne combo? Yep. And that feels like the only way that you can answer back. Very comfortable in this matchup and in this combo that you can swing that's been around for ages.
Yeah, and it's also been VKS's sort of bread and butter even pre-CL days. Like the Orc has always seemingly found this combo to work, and I like it considering what we saw last week when it was Samus and it was Mirio who was the big carries for the team. You're not questioning their mechanical prowess right now. Their hands are hot. You go for it. Also, it's great at punishing Furia a little bit when you've got Luke stepping in. The big question is, are his mechanics up to snuff? It's not about his strategic understanding, and against a Nocturne Ori combo, if you don't have flash perfectly timed, you don't have people who can kind of follow up perfectly and stop that combo from just wrecking your team, it absolutely can punish. So a bit of a challenge being thrown their way. Now, Alistar being the next pickup for VKS, they've already got a really strong front line. They've got good full up on the end gauge as well. They're only going to be looking now for the damage to come through from their marksman and their top lane.
And I like how, even with the Alistar, it's still very much a get out of here support. We've seen other supports come in. You know, you see the Nautilus. I've really liked Nautilus personally, in any composition, really. The ability to kind of get that free knockup, get the CC chain down. But for the Alistar, it really makes me look at, hey, that lock is still a primary damage source. We got to make sure that we have extra ways to knock it away. You talked about the flash. Well, lock can still jump in. It's very frustrating. But the Trundle is able to cut away at those tanks, already having that subjugation, very important to deal with. And now we get to that bread and butter like you were talking about. It is the ADC round of bans. Vayne first to make sure that, hey, even if you look at the top lane as well, if you want to get spicy with it, you don't get to play. The Ezreal safety taken away from Furia's end, forcing the spot lane to play a little bit more immobile on the ADC front. Jace also banned.
It's interesting to me to see that Vayne ban come through. We've really only seen, like, Zest run away with that champion. Feels like everybody else, it's kind of punishable. So I'm curious if that means Gigo is thinking about taking a tank into top lane, something that couldn't punish the Vayne or Jace pickup. And we did see the Shen being locked in. I was thinking support Shen to come through initially. That's where I think we've seen Shen more frequently in recent days. But it could now be a top lane that they're thinking of putting that Shen into. Really, with the counter pick going to Furia, I feel like they're kind of just waiting to see what VKS are opting for. Marksman being banned away by VKS, of course, Ezreal and Xayah. Lock has already been locked in, so unless you're thinking that might be Lock mid, which I believe was a role that he was kind of intended for. Not blind for Gigo. I mean, it's a solid blind. It's one that Gigo is quite good and very adept at using. You don't need to have it be as consistent a tank when you've got the Shen and the Trundle on your side. So it looks like, yeah, they're okay with the split damage for now, and they're really just kind of challenging VKS to do your worst. But I feel like VKS's comp is already pretty much standardized and shown. Like, you're going to go with traditional marksman, probably not a mage in the bot side, and top lane, I'd expect something a little bit beefier.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're waiting for here as well. With the Corki, last of pretty much the immobile mage, mobile, I can talk. The mobile ADCs in there, having the Valkyrie, being able to kind of dash away and keep themselves safe. That's why we saw the ban out, I think, of the Ezreal and that Xayah. Last pickup here, Sion is available. You are looking at a little bit of a shift to your hold-up. Are we... Okay. In comes the Tristana, looking like a possible Tristana top side. You're trying to mix it up, get a little bit of that range, maybe match the Gnar range matchup. And then the Silas to come out, which would actually shift, I think, the lock in a different direction as well. These are interesting in how they're going to be played.
Yeah, so it ended up actually being quite standard. The lock goes into the AD carry role, and then you've got the Silas going to the mid lane.
Or not.
To Orianna. Okay. Yeah,
there it
no,
is,
there
there
you
it
go.
is.
I mean, the reason why I even hesitated was because Tuts is known as Tuts was the guy who brought us Jhin mid and Draven mid like in the past.
True,
he
true.
likes his marksman in the mid lane. I think the Silas matchup's the more standard one. You lose out early to Orianna. She is a bit of a lane bully, but you do become a menace later on and not something Orianna can match up. So if you did want to shift Silas out of lane away from Orianna, I kind of get it. And we did actually see Tuts and Ayu swap back. So, okay, no, it looks like a graphic bug because behind them, it's still showing Silas in mid lane. Like, I wouldn't hate it if you tried to move Silas away, but I would be concerned that the Silas's level will be a bit lower, and a lot of his power is gated into his levels and not just his items, so it's a bit of a risk, and you'd really only do that if you really hated how that laning matchup went. VKS with the Tristana top, that is a counter we've seen develop within Brazil as an answer to Gnar, and in fact, actually, Robo was running it in the past a long time ago. FNB had also done it as an counter to Gnar years ago, but it only caught on recently, I believe, like split 1, so last split that we've seen. Now, it's great damage from BKS. They have a lot of damage. I am a little bit concerned though, they don't have the front line to maximize double marksman at this point, especially with the Trundle on the other team, no tank on their side. It is a bit of a high risk, high damage comp to come through from VKS. If they are ahead, they will snowball very quickly with this comp and they will take turrets insanely fast. But when I look at Furious composition, like, there are threats, there are tankiness. The Shen Stand United is going to be huge. If they can survive the initial Paranoia Shockwave from the Samus Mirio, I think Fury is in a great position to be able to play out the rest of this fight.
Taking a look, we are looking at that feature matchup. Eyes on the prize for game number 1, at least in this series, as we head on to the Rift. CBLOL week number 2 of Split 3 is alive and well. Let's hit that Rift and see who was able to come out on top. Winter Orianna, I can see skin number 1 at least, and we do get that shift here as we get to see the supports roaming up to the top side. We've seen it a little bit more frequently, obviously. The supports kind of out and about and roaming ever since we've seen a lot more self-sustainability when it comes to that bot lane side, but Tuts already taking some damage here as we got a meeting of the mind. Scamber getting a nice little knock up in there. Infuria's and it's just like, all right, I see what's going on here. This is not fun.
So this is really interesting, actually, between these two teams. First of all, Tuts and Ayu did swap. So the graphic was right. The panels behind them was wrong. Ayu's taking the Silas into the bot lane. And I suspect that's why we're seeing what we're seeing in this situation, where we've got the supports actually reinforcing the top lanes, and the top laners both being ranged. This becomes your more traditional sort of 2v2 matchup in this top side. They recognize that, hey, normally there's an isolated lane. If you get ahead, you stay ahead. Looking for some early cheese.
I love that. Very nice flash forward, and it's so easy on the damage. But the turnaround, Zekis is free firing. I might have lied, but it's still a 2v3 at the end of the day, and you're all level 1. Like, that is just a lot of damage from VKS. That's a huge win. Look at the HP bars.
Yeah, and overall, I just wish we could have seen what the setup was pre-level 1 before they got to lanes, because you can tell that Furia, this was planned for them, right? Like, they did the sort of swap. They wanted Ayu in isolated lane, and we talked about the experience advantage that you get as a mid laner traditionally versus a 2v2 lane where you get more XP. So they wanted to make sure Ayu gets the XP. They gave him the isolated lane even into a ranged matchup, and that I suspect it's actually Furia that prompted the supports to show up in the top lane. And you can see that Furious call on Lux was just like, okay, Lux was saying, we're going to cheese this. I don't want to get into a mechanical, standard sort of 5v5 situation. If we can win out that cheese on the top side, we're in a great position. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, and Lux is going to lose the bot side of the map for his pains. I don't even think he knows right now where Samus is, so I don't think we're going to see a sort of an equivalent trade. If anything, I just think we see the invade and Lux getting set behind.
And it's so interesting taking a look at this 3-cam, by the way. I do love it, but it's so funny taking a look. It's literally just double mid lane matchups in this mid and bot side. And it's just, I found that very entertaining to watch for. Early push by Miru, though, straight into Tuts, who had to recall a little bit early, drop that TP, and coming back with a little bit full HP bar. Rotation of that Shen down towards the bot side now, as we are going to see JoJo try and apply their pressure there, with Scamber joining in on the rotation. So a little bit of a shift back to a little bit more formalities, but again, for the sports, it's all about that roaming, as Tuts eats another about 20% HP off their back end.
Okay, so Yeah, as you said, we're kind of going back to normalcy, a bit more of what we're used to seeing with the lane matchups.
I say that with a lot of tentative asterisks at the end. I'm so sorry.
I think you're right. No, with how the early game went, understandable. But it's worth noting sort of how we went back to normalcy and the lane states right now, because VKS is 800 gold up from all the chaos that happened early, despite Furia being the one to start the chaos. And a lot of it's coming from how the laning went. The fact that, Jessica got to bully out IU early on, had a bit of quite a significant CS advantage in the mid lane as well. Tuts, unfortunately, Locke is strong for a marksman in the early game, for a marksman, but up against the lane bully like Orianna, not so great. Constantly having to dodge the ball means he has to drop a bunch of CS. And even the top lane, Zekas gets a CS lead, and that's partially off the roam away from Jojo, because Jojo had to cover for Lux when he wanted to go and get his bot side. Now, he only lost the blue buff on the bot side, so he's not terribly far behind, but the cost that Lux has to bear is actually being borne by Gigo now in the top lane. And I feel like this was exactly what they wanted to avoid in the first place. You don't want to give the 1v1 lane a significant advantage, as we watch the other 1v1 lane just getting beat down.
It's just never ending up here. This is rough. Zekas, of course, rocketing away, says, I don't want to dance this, and battle of the Yordles in the top lane will continue to commence as the rest of the lanes do break out. We get our first dragon here in about 30 seconds, which is going to be the Infernal to play for. Quite an impressive dragon. You can already see the stack of wards that Fury have kind of allocated down towards this bot side of the map. Very focused on keeping eyes on where the Nocturne can go, where the Samus is going to be. Not only that, possible roam coming in from Miru once that level 6 hits.
Yeah, and I think Furia will be wanting to play for this dragon. IU being level 6, roughly when they want a contest for it, it's going to be huge. He can potentially steal away the Unbreakable Will from Scamber, and Scamber's only level 3, so VKS don't have a good answer. We were talking about their composition not having the best front line. That doesn't change. Tuts running in for some aggro onto Miru, but Miru standing his ground, charging up that Clockwork passive, and is starting to win out this trade.
Not only that, I wish we could take a look at how many points they put into the E. I wonder if they added a second point in E just to get a little extra shielding in there against some of the poke coming out here. I would be very curious to see if you have opted for that, but Tuts, recognizing that you aren't going to win in this mid lane, you actually jump in towards the top side with the Purgatory, and it's a quick snap on the body as Tuts flies through the body of Zekas. Now a jump into the bot side as we're getting a side-by-side matchup. Luke says we got a punch on the top side, second on the bot side, and we'll force the flash out of Scamber.
Yeah, now Desana's waiting in the wings. Not quite level 6 yet. No paranoia. We'll have to run this down, but trying to run after a Trundle is kind of hard. It's not as bad as running after a Singed, but there is a lot of movement speed buffs and debuffs available for Trundle. It is kind of hard to lock him down. So Furia actually kind of starting to equalize things. I really like what they did, and it kind of calls into question their early game strategy when they just played the standard better. I feel like a great roam up from Tuts with how fast Locke moves as well. I feel like Miru got caught a little bit off guard. There's no missing ping here, and you can see Zekas completely wasn't expecting it. He burnt the exhaust. He's like, I got Gigo. I got this. He's not going to go mega in time. And then surprise Locke, surprise Tuts. Tuts equalizes his lane.
Yeah, it's a very clean kill. Not only that, I respect that for Tuts and Gigo. You recognize that your jungler isn't. We talked about how Lux is coming into this as obviously a fresh step. Maybe still very nervous on the professional stage and everything like that. Hasn't played for a while. In this matchup, you are trying to facilitate your own sort of magic without your jungler intervention. You are actively trying to make plays on your own as well. And so they're playing around the fact that, yeah, your jungler's not always going to be there this time. So you have to manufacture opportunities for your own sake. Jojo, though, eyes on the prize on the top side, as that's the short hop in and shown on a ward, but Zekas takes the far hop in instead. He's going to try and sidestep this jump in. The taunt actually works, but eyes are on the mid lane instead as Miru still showing that Tuts might have roamed, but Miru still owns the mid lane at this current time.
If anything, I was kind of scared for Furia on that particular play in the top lane. Desamis now hitting level 6, has the paranoia available, and I don't believe they actually caught eyes on where Desamis was roaming at that specific moment. So, pushing in with Jojo that aggressively could have turned it around, especially if Gigo couldn't catch up. Instead, we do see Zekas getting out safely, didn't even have to burn the flash, and that's going to buy time for VKS to secure the first Drake of the game, a Drake orbital that I'd have thought Furia wanted to focus on and contest much more significantly, especially IU, level 7 ticking over right there. He could have done work with an Unbreakable Will.
Yeah, I mean, we pined about it, and honestly, the ward coverage really did signify that. I mean, what was it? It was 2 pinks and I think 3 regs, and they dropped that early on. That was set up about 30 to 45 seconds ahead of it, and it really did feel like they just kind of dropped it, and so they are focused on the top side. However, now this is actually going to turn it in case for VKS, who are roaming on in to try and get both global objectives, which would be a huge win for them. Quite honestly, they got to steal on the dragon. They force the rest of Furia away, blind on the other side, but Furia mounting a possible offensive on the top side. Tribush inside of the mid lane. Miru fighting it off against Tuts, as Tuts takes a lot of damage, but that's 2 grubs, so VKS come out massively on top in the global advantage game.
Yeah, and with Cheskla being there as well, VKS just had the extra body. Like, IU doesn't have teleport available. He was never going to be able to match, so VKS kind of brute forcing that one. Now, it does come at the expense of plates, and IU getting sort of solo experience and gold in the bot side, but I like the call from VKS, especially when you've got double marksman. Your ability to take turrets is so incredibly strong. If Zekis gets big enough that Gigo struggles to answer as well, we've seen what Tristana's can do. Add in, 2 Void Grubs with it. It's going to be a lot of work done for VKS. So gold evened up by Furia, VKS banking some strength for later on.
Ooh, I love that slam into the wall. Gigo landing it on the very point.
Remember,
But because you can turn around with the exhaust, you get the paranoia in. The rest of the team is here with an extra heal from Scammer on top. The support is here, and VKS take a kill back.
Yeah, and that's exactly the concern I had the last time we saw the gank in the go in the top lane. The last time we saw Gigo try and get aggressive with it. Do you know where Desamus is? If no, do not make the play. You don't have the global on your side yet. If Jojo's level 6, I can see that play potentially working. When he's not, you just can't match. So Furia, that aggression from Gigo, sometimes he's Gigod, sometimes he's Gigon. That play, a little bit more on the Gigon side of things. It doesn't mess him up too badly, though. The lane is still fairly even, and the kill, most importantly, went over to Desamus, not Zekis. So the 1v1 is still manageable.
And we'll see if it continues to be a little bit more in their own level as we eyes out on the bot side. Jeskla and IU still testing the limits of what they can get away with. Earlier, I think we saw maybe a 5 to 6 CS lead for Jeskla. That was pretty consistent. Now, obviously, it's turned around. IU being able to build up a very nice stack here, but sneak in by Scamber. This wave is going to break in about 20 seconds, and that's why Jojo is down here as well. It's going to crash into Jessica's side, so maybe he can make some magic. But Scamber, watching Jojo flit across a lot of these wards, says, I got to show as well to make sure IU doesn't get a little bit too testy on this. Oh boy, Miru, what do you got, buddy? That is going to be Purgatory being popped.
He's got flash.
Miru takes a lot of damage. Shockwave into that pillar, though, and it slows them enough that the flash isn't necessary.
Yeah. And this, I feel like, is sort of the peak Miru that we miss from 2025, which we haven't seen too much of in 2026. Walks it off, uses the shockwave. Frankly, I think Miru actually dealt more damage in total to Lux and Tuts. Now, obviously, not quite as impactful because it just split between the two of them. Lux now looking in that top side to go behind the turret, but bot side's where the action is.
And Scamber popping that Unbreakable Will, just saying, please give me a moment. We're eyes still on the top side, though. Luke's visited this mid lane, now visiting the top side, forcing a flash out. Almost got the pillar off to interrupt, but it wasn't enough to burn the flash. Very, very well done there. I will say, I also noticed Miru actually completed the Rod of Ages when that gank went off, so maybe that's why he was a little bit tankier and did a bit more damage. I didn't really respect it, but still, still, farming up well is all I saw there.
Yeah, and for VKS, the other thing too is they're absorbing all this pressure that Fury is putting down.
Yeah.
This pressure has a cost, and it's coming from Lux. He's not farming as much, he's ganking a lot, and Desamus is kind of stealing away his jungle every time he's looking at a lane. Desamus is much more efficient with his ganks, and now with Paranoia once again off cooldown, suddenly Furious lanes have to play a lot more carefully.
Not only that, you saw where Luke's and Gigo were going on top of the wards, and now they're going to try and turn it around. Luke's now getting a little bit of the fear down. Are you going to be able to get away? I don't think so. That's a hop in. But Desamus has to run away. Veka's now in the middle, but in comes Scamber, and they turn it right back and around.
Wait, Desamus!
Tuts has to flash on in, trying to get out of the battle, but I don't know if you're going to get it. No, you lose your life. And this is VKS finding that shining star they wished upon one, and they're getting it. As in comes IU, who steals the Unbreakable Will, but everyone else is gone. IU, you came to the wrong neighborhood, my friend. A hop, skip, and a jump as Zekas will take yet another, and VKS run the show and more.
Oh, and so unfortunate for Furia. They thought they saw the angle. They thought they had the numbers on their side, and we talked about that Stand United from Jojo, how much work it can do for the team. Well, I saw it right there. Stand United came across, and for a second, it looked like Furia was winning this. However, the person you need to watch is Tuts, because they do all this damage early, and Tuts needs to do his job as the assassin marksman that he kind of is. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it. He goes in, doesn't find Desamus. And because Desamus doesn't die, all of a sudden the damage still comes through. And he's able to get his paranoia damage off, able to buy more time, space for Zekis and Miryu to do the damage. And the moment that happens, Furia are just lost. IU going in was just trying to buy space and time for his team to get out. With Unbreakable, there was a chance maybe he's able to survive, but unfortunately the resets coming through from Zekis means there is no running from this. You've got Unbreakable Will, but it only lasts for those couple of seconds.
It really does, and we can see it here because Scamber doesn't have his. That's going to be a pillar and more, and unfortunately of the big bodies, you might not get away, but with the help of Mew and Isamus, it's actually pretty good. Apparently, even our side didn't really want to watch the mini-map, so we will not see that for the foreseeable future. But it is going to be Dragon lifted on high for... Alright, thank you. It's going to be the Dragon headed over to Furia's side, but it ain't an Infernal. It's only a Cloud.
Yeah, for Furia, silver lining that they're able to pick up that Dragon, slow things down a little bit. Now, Orbital, let's talk about game state for both these teams because it has been a little bit chaotic. We have seen a lot of action to come through, and I suspect we're going to see a lot more as all the outs are back up. But for VKS, we talked about it before, their competition, if they get ahead, they can definitely snowball. It feels like they're in that situation right now where they're getting a lot of damage and the ability to take a lot of plates very, very quickly. And it's on Furia to be able to stem this bleeding, slow it down. They do have Tuts and Looks in the bot lane, and they're trying to race against double marksman right now. Keep in mind as well that Tuts might have TP, Looks doesn't. So they'll always be at a numbers disadvantage. Yeah, Scamber's just kind of zoning them off, like slowing them down and saying back off for now. I don't think there's any kill threat from either side. VKS already got their turret. Furia answering back on the bot side. So Furia keeping up for now, but I think VKS is happier with sort of the acceleration that they're getting from this game state.
The more oh my gosh is that Scamber is doing that without Unbreakable Will up, I would never be that ballsy. Like I just would not want to test it. I know you're gonna live most likely, but it's still like I don't want to test that if I don't have my safety net underneath me. You also have no heal and flash. Like I would be terrified. Like there's a reason I'm not on any sort of pro stage, but still.
No, man, it wasn't limit testing. Scamber had faith in his team. In a way, it was bait. If Furia takes the bait, they actually die, and I think that's what Scamber was kind of fishing for.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, he's fine with it. Like either I'm a nuisance and annoyance, and I'm flexing on you, and you know gaining more, or you go after me and lose your inner turret when somebody drops. So
900 IQ or 1,000 IQ. Either way, you're pretty dang smart. I love it. Scamber, though, is now in the front lines with the rest of the team. A little bit more obviously, though, as the Herald is currently up. 15 and a half minutes in. VKS are looking to try and take yet another global objective away. And this Herald would be kind of the nail in the back. If you take a look at the towers, they're all fairly low on the side of Furia. But the fight is really what we're watching for. That's going to be a draw in. Looks got a little bit too close. And a final little pop on the back with that satchel. You're healing with the subjugation. But Gigo's trying to go back. Great slam into the wall. You get two, but is there any follow-up? No, there's not. Huge pickup by VKS on not only the kill, but the Herald.
I guess this is where that question of sort of brain versus hands comes in. Head versus hands, right? The fact that if that was Tatu, would it have worked? Would he have been able to out-mechanics his way, flash in maybe to look for that trade, cause chaos, hold off that extra second, buy that extra time for Gigo to come in? Because, like you said, Gigo's wall slam, absolutely on point. Multiple members stunned in backline as Meganar. That's exactly what you want to see from your Gnar to kick off a fight. But because Lux was already so low, the rest of Furia wasn't able to get in there. And the setup was good. The call, I think, was solid. It just came down to the execution a little bit that's put Furia behind and allows Cade to continue snowballing this game.
And the scary thing is when it comes down to the fact of the call versus hands, I feel it does benefit the team that has Locke on there. I feel like Locke in this position needs the callouts, needs the right preparation, as we said, the side lane, be able to access the back line and everything. But you still need that level of confidence to go on in. And right now, Locke has been kind of locked out. Tuts has 2 kills, don't get me wrong, but the one has come off of sacrifice, and the other was a snap kill in the top lane. Outside of that, it's been fairly quiet for the squad. So VKS playing this kind of steady position, recognizing that as long as they stay grouped in a methodical way, they're kind of very standard composition outside of the Chisana, obviously, will benefit a lot from keeping everyone within a screen's arm's length, whatever you want to call it, as Scamber. Recognizing that Gigo's in the side, great throw over the side as Scamber takes the blast cone and Gigo takes the other route to safety.
And for VKS, they've got to recognize when they're strong, they're weak. Jojo going in.
Oh, that's why. That's a TP on the other side, so this might be the split that they're looking for. There's a 5v4 position, and Miru is now alone, but on the top side, it will be a jump onto one body. Miru's dancing, though, and forces the flash out of Tuts, as again, Tuts is unable to get the assassination, and with so much escapability, VKS get out of what looked to be a spicy situation.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're Fury, that was the position you're looking for. You had multiple flanks going. Props to Jojo for finding the angle and recognizing that I just need to bait my body. We've got the warp behind. You know, Tuts can look for that teleport, look for that angle. But VKS, the way they play it, like this is when your individual skill matters. The way you can watch Zekas spacing perfectly, buying time. Miru, dude, this guy with the Rod of Ages is not even fully stacked yet, and he's already so tanky. He knows that Fear is behind, and more importantly, doesn't have the damage to actually kill him. So he's just waiting, buying time, 1v3, creating space for the rest of the team, and then flashing out at the last second to buy VKS space. Now, it does slow down VKS. They were setting up to take that bot side turret. I don't know if they'll be able to take it on this push. I mean, they do have the Tristana, but it is a little bit scary to go in. Okay, they will be able. Gigo actually walked off completely. So, yeah, then I was going to say Silver Lining for Fury, they slow it down. They don't even do that. It's just VKS win all day right now.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Tuts is on the top side trying to clear, but Locke at this point is just... I mean, you're trying to feed gold into Tuts, and it's just not going to work. As we mentioned, it's a double ADC style. Not only that, the range of the mid lane is working beneficially, as VKS had now chomped through not only the tower on the bot side, but also the tower in the mid. That was 5 plates completely shredded, as Locke is just now touching the top side tower. They're going to try and power through, but they're giving up a dragon forward. So for Furia, this is a race to catch up, not a race to overpower. And with that TP, you're not even going to get the tower. You get the last plate before the fall, and it will be 4. But here comes that paranoia. I thought they were going for the dragon, but no, they rotated up into the top side and just straight up murk poor Luke's. Unfortunate, as the coach will take a fall.
And they can still get both Orbital. There's nothing stopping VKS from just resetting and going towards that dragon either. You can see Zekas in the area still slowing things down. His recall gets cancelled.
And a nice boot out, but a flash forward after the taunt will mean Zekas recalled in a very dangerous position. And with the speed up, Gigo has the last auto. No! Zekas! What an out! I didn't respect you. I thought the flash was used. You're good! Vicky, yes, I want to know what star you wished on. I need to find that thing in the sky.
Hey, that's why you picked Tristana. That's why she can be a solo laner with the rocket jump, with the buster shot. That's already 2 ways to get out, and now with the flash to boot. And with the Hextech gates, Zekas doesn't even need to teleport to get back to the fight. And this is what I'm saying, VKS, they can teleport to that top side, cover it with Miru, and still get to the dragon in time to go for that, should they wish. And Furia, they're playing in the dark on the back foot, 4,000 gold down. Where's their win con coming from at this point? They're not quite able to match up in the 1v1s. They are behind in pretty much every single lane, significantly, almost 1,000 gold averaged. And they are not strong enough yet to team fight, which is what I thought their comp would be better at doing than VKS. When you have 4,000 gold down, you can see the team fighting is not working. The creative angles are starting to run out. Most importantly, they are losing wards. Orbital, they need the wards behind VKS to look for these flanks for their team fights, and they're starting to run out of them.
Oh. On awards, maybe not out of luck as they try and take out Scamber, but Scamber sitting inside of them. 100% perfectly fine. IU looking for the chains as well, but that's a shockwave on the 2 on the back end. Mew able to shut down and drop a lot of those HP bars, but the rest of the team is inside the jungle side instead. That is just Mew and Zekas free firing inside the lane itself. Jojo blocking a lot of damage, but you look at this push and VKS, they weren't the ones to start the fight. They don't care. They're happy where they're currently at.
Yeah, and that's precisely what we're talking about. Like, Fury doesn't have enough damage right now. Unless they get the flank, unless they get the CC down from Gigo and Jojo, it's just not happening. We talked about how there's no front line for VKS. Well, they don't need it because they're just catching and running through Fury. And for a second, I thought they were actually going to stick around and brute force this inner turret. With the way Fury had to recall and with how desynced they kind of were on it, that was an opportunity if VKS wants it. Instead, they're going to make sure they don't lose the Baron, because VKS, more than trying to finish out the game right now, they don't want to take risks and potentially flip it. They want to take this nice and slow. Furia with the vision down on Baron, but VKS with the body slowly marching up.
Yeah, I've never seen a larger showcase of literally what you talked about than that bot side fight. That was such a stark reminder of everything that we talked about, of the fact that for Furia, you just can't fight. Looking forward into the game now, we're about 22.5 minutes in for VKS. It's starting to just kind of check all the boxes off the checklist, right? We're seeing the slow methodical rotation to the top side, getting that crystallization break, and making sure to put this ADC in the bot side, try and push out there as well. Gigo trying to jump forward as Zekas is free firing off the back end. Full explosive sticky bomb will go off, and now inside the jungle we turn back to the eyes, as that's the paranoia just easily picking them off, and it happens once more. Luke's is just unable to do anything right now. Shut down as the 4-man collapse brings an opportunity for the Baron.
I don't know, Orbital. I'm of mixed minds right now about Lux's performance. Like, on one hand, he's only died 3 times, but on the other hand, he's died 3 times. Like, Gigo's died 3 times, and I don't think Gigo's performed terribly. Like, yes, he made a laning mistake here or there, but and overextended in laning phase, but it's not terrible. 4v5, Furia just trying to buy time.
Well, Furia might have also bought time by their deaths as they're trying to pull it off. Tuts is going to jump on in for that. I love that. I don't know if Zeka's meant to do that, by the way, because Tuts, Model, and Baron were on top, but it would have been really funny if you aggroed just to piss off Tuts. Like, bro, don't touch our Baron. It's ours. As now Tuts is fully cut off. That was a TP into the lane state. Scammer using that scuttle as a free jump forward, but Tuts, you are just dead to rights. Stand United ain't even going to save you, but the job is done. Furia have forced a back off of the Baron, at least for this 30-second period.
Yeah, and with Tuts down, unfortunately, there's the sustained damage coming through from Furia is a lot weaker. Oh, they caught out Ayu.
Such a clean catch. Very, very clean coming in from VKS. They're doing this repeatedly throughout these last few minutes.
Did we say a 4,500 gold lead? We're looking at a 6,500 gold lead, Orbital, on that last series of events. The pressure that the mid lane inner turret going down as well. Oh my goodness, do not step up to Miru right now. Gigo has been stepping up into Zekas and thought, okay, it's fine. Gigo, by the way, great job actually cashing up and getting a CS advantage of his own after the laning phase. But then you see what Miru's done to Tuts, and you just kind of go, well, you did a great job, Gigo. You still can't step up to Miru right now. And Miru just upgrading the Dark Seal into a Medjai's Soul Stealer. He's been frontlining, and he feels like he can't die.
I'm amazed it took this long. Normally, if I go 3-0-2 in a type of game like this, I'm doing that like second item to try and get as much as I can. But you're 4 items deep before you do that. So, hey, heads up on him playing a little bit more conservatively, which for VKS I think is very impressive. We mentioned for VKS, series number 1 that they had last week, we had questions. The squad that is, how well are you going to play? And right now, I think they're showing, there's a little bit of luck on their side. Let's not get that wrong. But they are playing this so cleanly. They're not making major missteps or anything like that. They're not overplaying their hand. They're not getting cheesy with it. They're just playing really good standard League of Legends when they're allowed to play. And I like that from them. As now we get to see another punch coming in here. And they're going to try their best. As a TP deep is going to try its work. But again, that's so far away with that allows the Samus to just dive straight into the back line. Now, of course, the cut is going a little bit wide here, as maybe I cast curse them a little bit too much, as VKS are having to run away. The HPRs are a little bit low, but Miru is straight up carrying them with a double kill and more. This mechanical clockwork girl is a nasty piece of work, and that's an ace for VevoCade Stars.
Bro, you talk about the questions we had for VevoCade Stars after the performance last week against Red. Well, I want to talk about the questions we had from Miru that we've had all year long. Multiple splits. And Miru, at least at the start of the split 3, has been looking phenomenal. 8-0-5. Fully stacked mid-giants off that one fight. And a fully stacked win off that one fight as well. VKS right now, like you said, running like clockwork. They are showing phenomenal teamwork. And while Miru is the big star, I do feel like everybody kind of did their job. The other big question I had was for Jeskla. I felt like we haven't seen from Jeskla like any big AD carry performance just yet, right? He's just there. He's just kind of doing his thing. But I know we compared him to Smalley a little bit earlier as the other sort of Swedish AD carry that came to Brazil. I had a phenomenal time also on VKS, now coaching as head coach for VKS. Frankly, Jessica is reminding me a lot of Smalley right now. Like, he's just quietly doing his job. That last fight, he Valkyries in, stays alive, and just prints the damage. I'd love to see the damage numbers after this, because I suspect Jessica is probably up there, despite the very quiet game he had.
I would actually agree with that one. It felt like the Corki did so much comfortable work in there. And yes, is there a portion of it that did come from the fact that for Furia, you're working a little bit with a man down, your coach is in there, but maybe you don't feel as confident to try these things? Absolutely. There are a lot of external factors that we have to put in there. So there's a lot of still, asterisks, as we mentioned. but I'm taking one of those asterisks away. I do agree. I think everyone on VKS's side did the right job. Now, the question is for me, RMC, are they able to do it once more? Because Orianna is a very all-around safe champion. We saw how well it's sustained against the lock in the mid lane. Let's start there. Do we expect Miru to have another comfortable game like they had in game 1? And if so, what champion would it need to be to have that type of performance?
Well, that's the thing, though. When I think of Miru, I don't think of stable, safe champions. You saw what he did on an Orianna. Stable, safe champion?
True.
What's it? He frontlined that fight. He was in there. If he had a mobility spell, if he had a rocket jump, he'd be rocket jumping in, not out, with this Orianna and the way he played it. So when I think of Miru, I think more of Akali. You know, that sort of assassin champion that pops off. To a lesser extent, LeBlanc. I actually don't remember if he played LeBlanc very much last split. I think he played only one game of it. But that sort of big pop-off, high kill, high damage style champion. And so when I see the way he's performing on Orianna Orbital, it makes me excited to see him on a carry or a flexible champion. Now, unfortunately, the Sylas that he's also used to play will not be available. IU actually taking that one away. And I know that the draft looks kind of weird. There's going to be some questions after it's all said and done. But I actually liked the Sylas pickup. I just think IU perhaps was not as experienced or polished on it as you might need to be. It's a very different mindset from a traditional marksman. Like if you play a Cassiopeia, you play a Syndra, you play a Victor in the bot lane, you're not wanting to throw your body in there unless you're Miru. Generally, you're still kind of spacing and doing the damage from safety. Sylas, whole different ballgame, right? You're throwing your body in there, you need to be melee range to really maximize your damage. And when I was watching the way IU was kiting that fight, he played like a marksman still. He was going in, getting the damage, and then kind of sitting out of there, then backing out, trying to stay alive. Which, great if you're a marksman. If you're a Sylas player, I don't know if that's optimal. And going into game 2, I want to see IU back on a marksman. Because I feel like IU, Gigo, Jojo, these guys did a good job. Tuts was overshadowed by Miru. I don't know if it's a him problem or Miru being on form. I'm going to say Miru is on form for now. And then Lux, look, like I said, I think Lux he's in a tough position. He has to step in. They didn't have a jungle sub available for them.
Yeah.
And Fear doesn't have an academy roster that they can just pull up from. So mechanically, I think Lux is a huge problem. Strategically, I think he kind of still did the right calls and he didn't overfeed, but he certainly did get caught out a couple of times, and that gave VKS the windows they needed. So going to game 2, I'd just say put Lux on Sejuani, man. Like something tacky, something where if he gets caught out, it's not a catch, it's an engage with your face. And then you can kind of CC up and let the rest of your team be the carries they need to be, buy enough time for them to come back in and do their work.
You know what we say whenever we see someone inting in our solo queue games is literally just go tank, build tank, and be useful. Sejuani, Skarner, these are other options that maybe we do get to see Lux roll on into. Maybe a little bit more simplistic engage tools, like you said, RMC. But for Furia, you also saw smiles on their faces when we saw the player cams. They know they're in a little bit of a tough position. They recognize that things are a little bit rough. So we'll see if things do change for the upcoming future. We are going to take a very short break, though. When we come back, CBLOL will continue to be on your screens as we take a look at the opening of Week 2, Day 1. More matches on the way. Don't go anywhere. when you wish upon a star, you do tend to get some very nice wins. And for VKS, they have gotten a lot of luck on their side, but they have shown that they put in the hard work as well. In one of their more comfortable games so far in the first 2 weeks of the Split 3, I think VKS deserve that win on game 1.
Yeah, and I think for what this means for VKS is going to be quite interesting, because I don't think, well, according to the initial projections, based on what we saw last split as well, it was thought that, Red and Furia would be, top 3 teams. And potentially, given the way game 1 has gone, if VKS win this game too, they've comfortably taken out 2 of the top 3 teams already, and they themselves will be near the top of the standings. So a wild start to them, and a fantastic start for them when they've kind of caught these teams a little bit in weak position, shall we say, when Furia, for example, doesn't have their superstar jungler. Now we are right into picks and bans. Furia opting for first pick after their loss, and they're going to lock in the Syndra right away. If Cassiopeia is still banned, Syndra is still one of those top tier flex mages that can go bot or mid very comfortably.
Not just that, on the other side, you can see VKS really hammering in a lot of these lockdown champions. First time in game number 1, it was a very solid kind of confrontation with the Nocturne being able to dive on in with the Orianna. This time it's the Vi. So going into Samus's hands, we've seen Ahri's, I think, matched up generally with this kind of mix, but against a Syndra, I'm not sure if you feel perfectly comfortable with that. It is a matchup that we've seen before, but of course with the rotation of the Syndra into the bot side, it's a whole different question. Early Ezreal though locked in here. Last time ADC was left all the way to second pick phase, so surprising to see it here.
Yeah, and I guess for Jessica right now, I'm liking the fact that we're seeing actual marksmen and not just, a bunch of mages showing up in the bot side, which we might yet see from Furia, to be fair. I mean, I did play the Silas last game, and that is a mage bruiser, but still technically a mage. Now, you asked me about the Vi. I think Vi is a good pick into Syndra, but it's not necessarily like a hard counter. You're unstoppable while you use the cease and desist on her, so she can't knock you away with Scatter of the Weak, and you can chase in. But at the same time, I don't know if you have enough damage on your own to deal with the Syndra, and it depends on the rest of the team. So we're already seeing looks with the Wukong as a counter. Again, not a direct counter to Vi necessarily, but just stopping the rest of the team from being able to follow up. Unfortunately for Furia, no Shen this time to stand united whatever target the Vi picks. I want to see if they kind of go the more supportive, safe support to back them up. Leona, not necessarily what I had top of mind, but she can still with Guardian potentially keep people a bit more alive, and the stun and CC she has. You can use the solo flare to follow up on the Wukong to stop the rest of the gauge, and you can just use your stuns on Samus when he goes in on that Vi solo. You get in there, but you can't get the rest of the combo off.
Yeah, it's just going to take a little bit longer to get through it. Right now, we are waiting for the last pick to come through for VKS. VKS waiting for their big chance, and they themselves will take that Rumble instead. It was covered, I believe, by Tuts for a moment. It looked like Fury were kind of wondering about it. And I always love this, by the way. It could be a mind game of like, we'll flash this champion. We want you to pick it, and we'll see if we can mess with you. Harkens back to the day of, I forgot which Grand Finals it was, where Faker got baited into playing LeBlanc. Or something along those lines. I forgot what it was. It was a fantastic moment. But I always love talking about, is there a mind game in Champion Select going on? First ban in the second round, though, for VKS is going to tune into Sion. Okay, I can appreciate the top lane bans coming in.
Yeah, and also just Sion having a generally decent matchup into Rumble, getting to outscale and become that infinite tank is a bit of an issue. Ezreal can pump out a ton of damage, but not necessarily known as a tank buster either. So I wouldn't be surprised if they opt to kind of just ban out tanks against Gigo. Gigo also notoriously good at piloting these tanks, and not just as a soak for damage, but as like a military tank which can also just run over squishies and crush them under the treads. So understandable that they want to take that away. I'm actually much more curious where Fury want to go with this right now. They're looking for a marksman and potentially a marksman if we don't see the Syndra being flexed in the bot lane, and a top laner for sure. And with that Rumble already being locked in, you know what you're playing into. So it's more of a question of what does your team need for Gigo. Do they need a tank, or do they want to let you play something like a carry that could potentially take over the game? VKS, on the other hand, we know they need a support, that much has not changed, and a mid laner. So they're a bit more transparent in how they're drafting at this point.
A little bit more appropriate and a little bit more just glass house. We can see inside. We know what's coming next. That is going to be the Nautilus, my favorite boy. Currently in the support meta side, I really, again, appreciate that level of CC ability. Not only that, following up and being able to follow behind a Vi. I will always say when I see 1 point of engagement, I need a second. I can never just have one because I always get scared for that 1 point of engagement. It is a whole different game when you're the only one going forward. What will Furia decide to pick up, though? You can be looking for another flex into that mid ADC APC role, and they are going to match with a little bit of the chasing ADC with the Kai'Sa. I like it.
Yeah, sort of historic counter to Ezreal where you're able to follow up, hunt him down with the just chasing out the ultimate and also Void Seeker at long range.
Wait. Do you mess with all of us and put the Kai'Sa mid just for funsies and the Syndra bot? Do you just dang it?
No, this is not one of those where you're likely to flex it into the mid lane. Kai'Sa into the mid lane is a little bit dangerous. Her range puts her at great risk of the mages, and sure, she can burst you down, but she needs a bit more sort of items and damage to be able to do that, and a lot of times the mid laners won't give you that space. So no, I'm expecting this to be just a Kai'Sa into Ezreal matchup on the bot side, a more traditional matchup. And Ayu is a great marksman. He's played this matchup before. He'll know how to survive the early laning phase and take advantage later on to burst people down. We see Galio also being picked up in the top lane. That's an old school counter into Rumble. Magic resistance tank in the top side. I don't hate it, as some of Ezreal's damage is magic damage as well, and you're expecting a traditional mage in the mid lane, so that tank will be able to do a lot of work. Also, the global of the Galio, the hero's entrance, I think is going to be huge to be able to follow up on Lux's engage and on Ayu's engages. If he decides to just go diving that backline to find out some action, it's always nice to have a little bit more resistances coming through from the Galio, a bit more backup if you can just survive those couple of seconds.
Oh yeah, it's so nice to have, and honestly, we've seen Galio's quite literally be the reason why teams win team fights. It is brutal. There's also a reason why it's coming out in the T1 bundle. Like, we love Galio's, at least in competitive play. I hate playing Galio. Do not ever ask me to play that champion. I suck at him. Eyes out though, as Talia was the last lock in, it was seen as kind of that, hey, we know you have like 14 ways to travel, dash, jump, leap, and we're going to get a little bit of that stalling power. I'll at least deter you for half a second instead of allowing you to fly forward. And so for Miru, it will once again be a little bit more control, which is kind of counterintuitive, as you mentioned, this idea of Miru being far more aggressive, but he's just going to turn these more stable AP mid laners into aggressive powerhouses, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and you're asking, okay, Orianna's gone, what's stable, what's left over? Well, there's your answer, Talia.
Yeah, quite literally.
Really hoping it wouldn't be that style, but I don't hate it. The Unraveled Earth. Okay, let me rephrase that. I personally dislike it because I'd like to see more bloodshed.
Yeah, you better put that on there.
But the analyst in me doesn't hate it. I think it is a great pick into the composition that Fury put together. The Unraveled Earth is going to do a lot of work to stop all sorts of engages coming through from Furia, and you can really isolate that Kai'Sa. We were talking about it against the Vi, being able to isolate Vi when she goes in. The same idea against the Kai'Sa right now. You just want to make sure that Ayu's never comfortable going in. If he gets stunned up on the way in, he's just going to get absolutely melted and not be able to pump out his damage. So Ayu more likely going to have to skirt the edges of the fight, play a lot safer, not play the assassin Kai'Sa, play a more true marksman style where you are about melting that front line. And to be fair, there's once again not the best of front lines on the side of VKS. You've got a Nautilus who's sure he's a tank, but he's on a support budget, and you've got a Vi who's going to be more of a bruiser than a true tank.
I will say, I don't know why. I am so sorry, RMC, but I've never seen a mom and pops look so upset as we're watching a little bit of a hook go in there as IU might be on the wrong side, flashes over the wall very quickly with that exhaust as well, and gets tagged by the mystic shot at the end. No, I just watched the mom and pops in that camera feed, just like stone cold killers, just no worries whatsoever. Didn't even flinch when they came on screen. That is impressive.
Might not have noticed. They were locked in, man.
They were. But again, IU losing out both summoner spells super early on. Really nice check by VKS to get an advantage here in a more standard opening to League of Legends. Drastically different than what we saw in game number 1.
And really painful for IU as well, losing both summoners, getting back into a lane. While Kai'Sa is generally considered a favorable pick into Ezreal, it's not about the laning phase where she's strong. It's about later on when she can chase down the very slippery Ezreal with the killer instinct. She's able to just win out on those trades and just instantly melt him. The problem's in the laning phase, that's not true. And if anything, Ezreal gets to bully out with the range. You can already see the mystic shots winning out the trades. And then now you've got Scamber literally just standing there being a menace. Ayu and Jojo are completely zoned out. Ayu has yet to pick up a single CS.
That is the rudest thing, by the way. This is one of those moments where we talk about, like, yeah, you can see the FF like flashing across someone's like eyes, right? You're just like, I don't want to play this for the next 5 minutes. I really don't want to, but you do have to. You are in a situation where you do have to eat it kind of on the chin. But the other side is for VKS, you also recognize that, hey, Lux wasn't exactly the most prominent jungler in the early status. Now, Ana Wukong has a little bit more capabilities to enter and bully out in certain situations. But in this position, Jeskla and Scamber, I think, are feeling very confident that even without wards, with the timing, you're going to be able to push this and feel very comfortable while doing so.
I just wonder if Lux is going to be looking to get any sort of gank in before level 6. I mean, well, not traditionally, but Wukong is a jungler who excels once he gets the ultimate available. Gigo, thinking about a cheeky roam, surely the missing pings have come down. Like, there's no reason for Gigo to back this early.
Or no. Miru just kind of wanders on in. Now, granted, it's a very slow one, so Gigo doesn't want to put too much out. All right, Miru floated down to the bot side of the river, very much conscious of that, but that's going to be a Xenoblade going in here. Jessica was able to buffer against, and Scammer turns it around. So Jojo and IU starting to break out of that pressure game, and thankfully for IU, you were able to match 19 CS to 19. Not bad.
Yeah, was able to actually catch the huge wave that VKS had stacked up on the bot side. So yeah, there's a reason why IU is considered one of the best AD carries in the region right now and representing Brazil at the Nations Cup as well. Now, we are seeing a potential roam down from Lux, only level 4. I don't know if there's enough damage here to actually even push up back. So yeah, Lux, thinking about it, we'll just back off in the tri-bush for now. Still not spotted whatsoever. So Jessica and Scamber, if they overpush, nope, Lux completes the recall.
Yeah, I was almost wondering, I was like, there's no way you're actually tower diving this, right? You notice Thomas is going to be rotating in on the same side. I believe some of the wards caught you on the entrance, so it was more just in case things get spicy, which I do respect. Again, for Lux, thrown into this position, we have to give respect there. A lot of weight on his shoulders as, you know, kind of stepping in to this game, so doing what he can, I highly appreciate it, but unfortunately, when it comes to wins, you do need to have kind of that classic level of skill. As you can see, League of Legends Classic, you gotta love. Have you been playing that at all, RMC, by the way? I am curious.
No, but I have seen people play it, and it's nostalgic.
I need to go. Dude, I need my Vygar back, man. My old school Vygar of like Insta Event Horizon, like a 1.5 on the queue because it's a point and click. I need my farming boy back. I haven't had the time to play it yet. I need to go back to that stuff.
Fair enough. I mean, that's the classic experience, right? Back in the day, we didn't have time to play.
Yeah, that's true.
All the time,
true.
so...
We say that, and the games took like 45 minutes, bro. Like, that was a standard for us, too.
That was why we didn't have time, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
You had to lock in or get reported.
That's true. You also had to call your lanes and stuff. Oh, my God, those are the days. I loved every single moment of it. That's how I may or may not have had a name change for various reasons. Taking a look here, though. Junglers on their first clear. Second clear is now pretty much cleaned up, and fairly quiet as well. Furia sitting at maybe a 200 gold lead, so nothing too explosive at the moment.
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic when you consider what happened in Game 1, where Furia opted for some... You know what? I think it was finely crafted cheese. I just don't think it hit with the audience, or with the opposition. In this case, VKS was able to shut it down.
It hit with the audience, I'm pretty sure. Like, we were all excited. But...
there was action. Whereas now we've gone back to typical sort of CBLOL that can kind of happen between teams that just want to farm it out, that just want to go later. And for Furia, you can see how the lanes are working out. It's much more comfortable for them. Gigo gets the lead with the counter pick. He gets IU, unfortunately, a little bit behind, which, by the way, I think says a lot about Jeskla, who we haven't seen too much of. But now we know his laning is rock solid because, yeah, he's doing perfectly fine. The junglers are actually much more even when Lux doesn't have to interact and just gets the power farm.
Oh, and this is actually a join on in because VKS had their ADC here first, but how much damage are they actually going to pump out? This is level 5. Level 6 is only for the mid laners, and that's why I think everyone is kind of positioning a little bit. Scamber waiting for that hook to come back up. Deciding to kind of step on in, tries to throw it against the wall, maybe trying to catch IU, but in comes the Weaver's Wall as they chase on in for IU. Remember, IU does not just have the Summoner Spells come back up, and there's the Flash Exhaust being utilized to keep everyone safe. But Luke's round number 3, clones in and out.
Oh,
Hook against the wall is able to get you close, and you turn it on around. Jojo coming over the wall to try and help out, but Samus has laid down the damage. A slaughter for the slaughter's sake, as that's a 1-for-1 right now. Mir trying to sling stones, but the stones only hurt so much, and when mana kind of out touch with a slightly larger mana bar will lead to a 1-for-1 overall. First blood landing in VKS's pocket, but very, very close.
Oh, sticks and stones only broke bones, Orbital. In that case, it was actually Tuts who ends up picking up the first blood in that situation. I think that's actually a huge win for Furia, given...
Was it just a moment ahead?
Yes. Yeah, Tuts managed to just barely secure it. in that chaos. And I think that's, or at least I believe that's what showed up on the kill feed. And considering how this started for Furia, I think that's a huge win. Like, it is actually VKS pulling the trigger first, and right here,
oh, yeah.
just barely finding the kill. And that's really unfortunate for VKS because they had the advantage. They had the numbers, but the Unraveled Earth didn't come across this time. I don't know if it's still on cooldown for Miryu or whether he just took too long to decide to use it. But because that damage wasn't there, because the CC wasn't there, it is Furia who's able to just print that damage early on, that Syndra coming online, and Lux gets very lucky. Lux did not have Cyclone. He was half a level behind at that point, and that should have been a VKS domination. If VKS won that fight comprehensively, they also win Dragon. As it stands, it's a very messy fight. Furia gets first blood, and Dragon is still on the table. And for VKS, I don't know if they feel comfortable going for this. If this goes later, I think that's where Furia wants to be. With the Syndra, with the Kai'Sa, they're feeling quite comfortable as this game goes late.
That's what they're hoping for, this late game position, as Miryu really doesn't like what was just thrown down. Tuts with a simple spell reel. It's good. It is good on the top of the head. With that push out of the mid lane, we also get to see Furia play the much more standard style. Remember last time they lost both Dragon plus what's that? Did you actually steal? No, you got it. I was like, Furia, ain't no way you lost that one. It would have been funny. But no, you get all three. It is a comfortable swap for Furia, who I believe last time they actually lost out on both the early Dragon plus 2 of the grubs. So you get all three. It's a little bit more pushing power.
Yeah, and this time VKS, they don't have as much control over lanes, especially on that top side. We talked about how Gigo has actually won out in that 1v1 situation with the counter pick he had in this Galio. And I think most notably as well, in the mid lane, that first blood onto Tuts has given him a lot more control. He was already doing pretty decently into Miryu, but now he's actually got the advantage. So that top side was never one that VKS was going to look to contest unless they had a significant numbers advantage. We are seeing some lane swaps come through as well. Okay, I was going to think, like, oh, they don't want Zekas to continue playing into a hard matchup, but no, Zekas just catching a wave and actually going to teleport up top to return Jeskla and Scamber to that 2v2 that they've been answering on. They've been dominating the bot side just as hard as Gigo has been dominating top side.
Oh, I love that. But the scout of the week almost immediately answered, turning it around with the Zenith player as well. Fury responding in kind, but because we saw Luke's over there on the Dragon, not much more than just a get off me bro move. With that TP, as you mentioned, it does lead us to believe that VKS are very much looking and willing to give over a lot of these early global objectives, just saying, okay, we don't want to fight for it, we don't want to force it. However, a steal could come through, as that smite looked a little bit dicey. For Luke's, you're able to secure.
There was a window, but with the control ward, I think Fury was fairly certain and sure that unless the Samus risks like a blind dash over the wall, but with no flash to get back out, it's just way too high risk, questionable reward. Yeah, Furia, they can take it slow, and I think that was a huge win for them. In the mid lane, even if they don't get the kill, just getting them off so that Lux can finish that without contest is all Fury are looking for. And I'm getting a little bit concerned for VKS. I'm not quite sure what the spike or window they're playing around really is. You've got the Samus, you've got his ultimate available. Zekas has had that equalizer as well ready to go. We've not seen Miryu really be able to use that Weaver's Wall to impact the side lanes. So like, where's the power spike? What's the play here? If you're going later into the team fights, I get a little bit more concerned. We talked about them not having a frontline tank. I feel like the comp is a lot easier for Furia to execute this time. It doesn't have to be Lux being the primary engage. He can play keep away defensively, or he can follow up on Jojo being the engage. And Jojo, we know, historically, this guy has been one of the best supports in the region. And while he has been a fantastic enchanter player, especially the last 2 years, he made his name, his bread and butter on engage champs.
Oh, like this one right here. Very nice Zenith plate dodge, but with that corralling, it works so well. One more stun. Almost gets walled by Miryu. Scamber denied the CC chain and allows Miryu to get out alive. Scamber gets some assistance from that move to Earth, and in comes the Samus for the finish. RMC, you asked where VKS were waiting for the game to go. This is how they play. It doesn't matter what champions they got. They'll clean house with 3-0.
And my brothers in Furia, the question was not addressed at you. The question was addressed at VKS. What is VKS going to do? But it turns out it's Furia who's answering. We are going to throw. They went for such an aggressive dive into the mid lane. And Miryu just went, wait, what? You're approaching me? My brothers in Furia, yep. That wasn't a Luke's issue, unless he was the one actively yelling for that dive. I don't know whose call that was, but that call was highly questionable.
Can I say I wonder if they if they didn't expect Miru to actually come back with how low HP they were, but that's a story for another day. Tuts now in a drastically problematic situation as RMC VKS, they cracked the helmet of Furia and are now slowly beating them over the head with a stick. It feels like win 1, win 2, win 3. Luke's now on the top side trying to get a catch onto Zekas. And Gigo with a really nice late angle tag. And thankfully, I was really worried that another tower dive was going to go wrong. I'm not going to lie. I held my breath there for a sec.
So did I. You can tell that Lux did not expect the taunt to land either when Gigo like just barely caught the edge because he was actually trying to clear a ward and had to turn back around for that. Yeah, and the Void Grubs there really kind of saving Furia's bacon on that top side. That should have been so much worse for Gigo.
I mean, you're going to try. No, the shield. No. Not like this. No! Zekas slaps Gigo into the ground. At least there's a rebuttal in the mid lane, but
it goes
Gigo,
to Jojo.
my man.
It goes from bad to worse. Jojo, sure, you got to kill mid lane. What happens? Jojo picks it up on the Leona. Like, Tuts wants that gold, man. I don't know what's going on. Look, I'm fine with VKS cracking the helmets of Furia. Furia's head just needs to be not in the helmet when that happens. Now, we get a replay of that dive onto Miru in the mid lane. And Miru, he's playing this fantastically. He's dodging all the skill shots. And the problem is once he gets under that turret, I think you need to back off, especially with the CC chain that is Camber. And sure, maybe you don't expect Miru to turn around, but Miru doesn't have to turn around. Like, he's playing way under turret range, and right there, he's not in danger whatsoever. The moment the Unraveled Earth comes across, he knows you can't reach him. Even if you land with a skill, the damage can't follow up. And just the damage on the gap closer is not enough to take him. And so just like that, Samus gets to go in, clean that up. And you can look at how happy they are there.
And watch this. You can see the staff even going, yeah, we got away with that. And
Yep. I also find it.
By the way, that was the first fight. That wasn't even Gigo's tower dive.
Yeah, the Gigo tower dive. Ironically, I think they're probably used to Gigo doing plays like that. He has done an awful lot of those hit or misses, and he'll be able to stabilize his lane. So, but that mid one, that actually just gave the entire momentum to VKS. What I did find interesting was Smalley actually didn't smile about that. Everybody else in VKS was like, yeah, cheering. I think as a head coach, Smalley's aware that that wasn't a play we manufactured. That was gifted to us, and we cannot rely on teams to do that. Now, obviously, they did get that gift, and I want to see what VKS can do with it. Because again, I don't fancy their odds if we keep going super late. So I want to see VKS take this lead and actually snowball like they did in game 1.
Yeah, they have been gifted the reins for a second of this game. Now they need to take it and run it for the next quarter mile, or as fast as they can run and how far they can go. Dragon now started up. Keep in mind, this is the first Dragon of the game. If it is current second, I lied, don't worry. Cloud was taken first. But for Furia, you really were hoping to get some sort of Dragon stacking going, and at the current moment, it is not looking like it will be in your favor. Hefty investment here on the bot side. Both the solo laners being placed into this bot lane, which is why Gigo is trying to go in to slow them down, but a very nice work to Earth will slow them even further, with Samus and Scamber now in the support wing. A good catch onto Luke, who was trying to walk away, but in goes that Weaver's Wall, and you've now overstayed your welcome in more ways than one. Poor Luke cannot hold on. You might be able to get the last hit. No, Miru survives once more, chugging on a pot like their life depends on it. And they are going to happily get it. Now, who gets the first tower? I do believe it is VKS. It was a race against Tuts in the top side. And Tuts barely gets that tower back.
So a kill, first brick, and potentially Dragon? VKS are in position for it. There's still 6 seconds before Lux respawns.
There we go.
Yep, there we go. The ping coming down for it. It is not currently a Hextech map. It could yet be a Hextech map, and that, at least for now, means that VKS will not be able to respond immediately if Furia was able to contest this bot side. But no, they're not even going to try. They're not comfortable whatsoever. Tuts was not in the area, and looks just respawn. Jojo thinking about the flank.
Pulled the cleanse out, actually. I really like that. That's one of the safety mechanisms that we've watched. I use a lot. With that being
that
you
hook!
actually freely go in because you know all the damage is there. Max hook, lollipop, baby, Scamber. Sending it home, but now multiple TPs coming on in. The Avengers have assembled here in more ways than one, and maybe that's Captain America that you don't want to be in. Gigo needs some help for the rest of the team. Scamber dies off. In goes the Dutch charge, but it is going to be Zanya's out. Heroic entrance to try and hold on, but Miru shuts you down, and Miru is a freaking legend for always having the damage available. In goes another Weaver's sets. And this is out of this world. Aggressive to Samus diving straight to the back line. Unleash power taking their life. JoJo goes way too far into their own jungle. And VKS punch out 3 cards. Furia lose 3, take 1. That is it.
Herald on the table, outer turret in the mid lane as well, vulnerable. Tut's the last man standing. Can he wave clear? He might actually have been able to push VKS off for now. But we get the replay on the fight. And it's funny that all this starts off from just 280 carries going at it. It was kind of an isolated 1v1 initially, and then everybody starts to pile in. But how they pile in is the difference. Furia not quite able, actually that CC did land onto Jessica, but he was already away at the Arcane Shift. And with JoJo getting caught out here, it meant that Furia could not unite and go in S4. And then it becomes a series of sort of 1v3s, 1v4s for Furia. Ego buys so much time here. And for a second, I was thinking maybe they could turn it, especially when I saw how deep Scamber went in. But no, because they're so scattered, because they're so disorganized, we couldn't see Ayu and Tuts and Lux actually really connect together on that. It was always kind of just one after another. They get isolated. Now, in the corner there, Herald's actually been pulled by Furia, despite VKS winning that fight. It looks like they should be able to secure it.
They're going to try, but of course the resounding damage is what they're watching for.
Oh!
Another catch coming in
not
from
again!
Miru, who is so aggressive right now. You got the Herald, but at what cost? JoJo will pay the price as well. And guess what? There's a tower on the top side, but you can dive that. You have all 5. Ayu actually chancing on in to try and help out Gigo. Gigo with
getting
no
to the turret.
flash, I believe. There is no way you're going to get here. Look at this split battle right now. Scamber with the depth charge. Ayu drops the Herald, trying to get away. You're able to roll on in, but where are you driving the Herald, my friend? It's in the wrong direction. They will chase you to Kingdom Come, my friend. You know you are dead in the waters. A hook from Scamber leads to what is a delayed ace for VKS.
Not a clean ace. Tuts actually respawns because of how long that series of actions took. And you're asking, where's Lux driving to? Oh, well, he's driving to Tatu's house right now to get a sub-jungler because this is really not working out for him. It's really unfortunate. And VKS, great call from them.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of this on saying, okay, Fury doesn't have their starting roster. Sure.
Right.
But you can't take away from how clean VKS's decision-making has been this series. Like the call to say, okay, you get Herald, we'll take everything else. We'll set up everywhere. And Shelly got dropped by Lux as a getaway vehicle, which didn't even get away. So, great. You got the golden experience from taking out a Herald. You're not going to get its ability to take turrets. You're not going to get more gold from that. And you're just going to fall further and further behind. It feels, despite how the early game went, being vastly different from game 1, we find ourselves at a similar spot at 20 minutes. 6,000 gold up for VKS, a composition that snowballs insanely well. And VKS being in a position where they're looking to get Baron and close out a game.
I mean, I also got to give credit. Miru has continued to play such an exceptional game. You know, after you called him out and saying like he was such a pivotal piece of why game 1 went their way, I've been watching Miru. And by the way, in that mid lane team fight, it was a crazy moment. Now watching this catch here, Miru is still very much alive, but constantly keeping that unraveled earth on the ground and having that seismic shove available. Miru is the catalyst for why these fights are going so awry. This R5. This is what I love seeing out of an R5 position. However, currently, a flank option is currently coming around. Gigo gives away their position with a quick Winds of War, and Desama immediately chases for the fight with the Weaver's Wall. Again, Miru's here to play, and Gigo, you've overstepped your opening, the heroic entrance.
He's fine. Lux is not.
Alone. You leave Lux alone. The coach will have some words to say to you later, my friend.
Okay, and in game 1 overall, I was talking about how Fury needs to look for a flank position. Like, if they can access the back line with Gigo and Nar, they've got a chance. Notice I haven't said that in game 2. Because you don't have a flank position. Miru is doing his best Gandalf cosplay right now. You shall not pass. That unraveled earth means that there is no flank angle. The moment you come across, you're stunned. You're in trouble. Gigo teleporting back in with Baron as the 5th man. Can they make this happen? No smite available. It goes over to VKS.
And it's desperation all the way through to get some kills afterwards, and it feels like they actually got something that is going to be 2 lives taken away. Samus getting tagged by the end of that solar flare. Will it get more? Looks like Miru is still running interference. As long as Miru's on the table, it feels like death is not in the cards. But when that Baron came down, at least Fury were able to grab 2. But still, Baron, massive piece of the puzzle. Oh, catch onto Miru. Are they going to decide to go all the way in? No, they're so scared. See? They're so... It's a 1v3, man.
Brother, if the Balrog could not get through, Galio is not getting through. You saw that. There's just no gap close. Unraveled Earth comes down, and it's just like, okay, this is a full stop, a period to the fight. That's the end of it. So, good on Furia. I think that Baron call, the Baron counter call from Furia was necessary. That was the only chance they were going to get. But even with the Phantom Fifth Man of Baron putting down that debuff, doing damage against a team with no tank, it just wasn't enough. Furia, fine too, but giving that Baron over, that's all VKS need. That's all they want, to be able to take these inner turrets. If they can crack an inhibitor turret with this Baron, that's all VKS could ask for.
Another look in that center lane. As we watch the chaos unfold through the last few minutes, and now VKS set their sights on this mid lane tower, top side of course, sped up thanks to an extra cannon minion in the back line. You can see Zekas making sure that this is going to go down, breaking open the base, getting a larger lead. Right now at 6.5, it is very close to breaking into that 7k mark. But will there be damage afterwards? Jojo hops over the side, heroic entrance into one, but DeSamas has pulled that out. Weaver's wall to cut them off yet again. It's another split battle. Luke's is able to find Jeskla, thankfully, but the major point of contention is in the lane itself. Miru, Zekas, and DeSamas disarm too, and will force a push in the top lane once more.
Where's the wave clear from Furia? You got the picks, you got the kill, but can you get this turret to safety? They're going to try. No Cyclone available for Lux means the engage potential is weak. Lux goes in, throws his body in there to delay it, and might actually just have done the job. I think with the respawn timers at this point, VKS have to back off. So a series of disparate defenses from Furia right now, but they are keeping the game limping on. Like we said, for VKS, they wanted to crack an inhibitor turret. They were not able to do so with the Baron. With 30 seconds left, that is probably all they find with this particular purple buff.
I feel like it's not a terrible spot to be in either, though. Well, I say that, though, because we are still looking at VKS saying, hey, we love that you're in the lead and all, but if somehow Furia are able to stay alive for another 20 minutes or so, hey, everything's, it's going to come down to, are you going to have enough damage to actually crack through? That's my big question, of course. I like where VKS are, though. Even if they weren't able to crack the inhibitor, they're still pacing quite well. They immediately regroup, head straight towards this mid lane, prep themselves for what could be a rotation towards the bot side. So it might not be an inhibitor, but they're definitely cleaning up a lot of that extra value, opening up even more of the map for themselves. The big question is, will they get anyone else on that same view? And they will. Gigo that was actually a half step behind the tower, by the way, and VKS literally dragged him out from underneath.
Yeah, and those inner turrets were just indefensible for Fury at this point. Gigo's the tank, by the way. Like, he's actually building pretty much, well, not quite straight tank, but heavily indexing towards the tank side, less into the AP side. So if he's melting that quickly, the rest of Fury are going to have problems. And now for Fury down 8,500 gold, it's not quite that 10k mark, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's a big difference. The extra 1,500 gold should not benefit VKS significantly at this point. And for Furia, they need to find picks. You're a team fight composition that needs to be able to find an isolated target. They've done a good job finding Jeskla actually a couple of times, especially IU being on the backline, being a little bit late to the fights, has managed to actually catch out Jeskla doing the same thing. And I'm going to continue looking at IU and Tuts to find more of these picks. It's just getting harder. Like technically DeSamus should be almost capped out instead of in terms of his tanky stats, at least for the next while. But yeah, if you can burst, I don't know if they can burst down DeSamus. And who else are you going to find? Maybe Miru. Miru has been playing very aggressively, but he's picked up his Medjais once again, and he's only had one death this game. If it's anything like last game, I don't fancy their odds finding Miru on the pick.
No. VKS now taking the steps towards these inhibitor towers. As you said, maybe not with that entire set, but oh no, Gigo saw the hook over the side, but it's red. It's just... VKS read him like a book. You saw the pings, you saw the hop of the wall. DeSamus knew exactly where the Galio was going to be. That hurts, man.
Gigo was red a long time ago, Orbital. The last time Red actually won a championship, by the way. But no, I don't know why I'm taking shots at Red. They're not even playing right now.
Like, bro, come on, man. That was mean.
Gigo's won championships since then. On this Fury roster,
I think it's because we saw Lux, right? We saw Lux's jersey.
Yeah, on the Red Academy shirt. Yeah, his old jersey. The old photo of him. Yeah, it's just really rough for Fury right now. And again, like, it's not going well for them. We said they need to find picks. Are they able to find it? No. They can't even leave their base, for goodness sakes. Kiko is the tankiest. He walks out, he gets mounted. And for Jojo's been playing this well and not getting caught, despite being the primary engager for the team. He's actually got vision down on this top side of the map. They're playing around Baron, which is going to spawn in 20 seconds. Dragon spawning before that, but Dragon doesn't matter, right? It's not Elder. Heck, even Soul at this point doesn't really matter. ZKS, can they find the pick? Nope. Equalizer comes down. It'll dissuade Furia, but Furia, I mean, they're just playing around Baron at this point.
Yeah. You know what? I appreciate this for VKS. Go ham, force them out. We've seen a lot of teams have struggles around the Baron pit trying to push out the enemy teams, but for VKS, you're swinging your weight around in gold. Quick clear of the mid lane and an early drop of extra wards. You can see the ward line for Furia at least gives some vision closer to you, so it's not going to be an immediate jump on you. But again, we've seen how quickly the semi-globals can work. Miu actually positioning on the side. Sees Gigo once more, and they're ready to call that out. You can see the Samus roaming into the other side.
There you go.
Well, won't actually be utilized, so Zekka's might not be perfectly in line, and actually a body flash by Miu just to stay alive. The rest of Fury can try and dive on in, but the damage might not be enough. A great fall back as the net is closed, and VKS, it might have been a missy toss, but they still have the damage in tow. Tut's last one alive. Scout of the week will slow you all down, but the damage numbers, the arcane shift, it is just too brutal. And for VKS, they found far more than just a couple kills. They found 4, and 4 is the magic number if you're a Jhin lover, because you can break down the inhibitor just as well.
And VKS fishing with the big purple worm, gonna net them a big purple dub as they're going to push in. The death timers are fairly short. It is sub 30. Is it actually short enough? They can't close? No way.
Close, but this is the inhibitor that they wanted,
Really?
right? We were mentioning before. Like, it was a step that we think they misstepped earlier with the Baron earlier, but they were able to get it, and they got a lot of gold too, so give them credit.
I really thought they were just going to end on that particular push.
I would have liked it. That would have been spicy, but I do expect them to not be able to pull it off that quickly.
It's fine. They'll just go fishing for round 2. Baron, once again.
They will.
There's no choice for Fury. And to be honest, this was actually a great engage from Fury. I really liked it. The fact that IU managed to skirt around the edges of the Unraveled Earth, so he never really got stunned. The patience to not really get hit by that, only Jojo, and that's fine because he was just Zenith blading in to slow things down, gave a hope, a chance for them to be able to turn it around. But most importantly, Jessica was just untouched. And DeSamus is probably the gold leader at this point in the game. So between the two of them, they can more than carry through this fight. They've got the burst damage in the Vi, they've got tankiness in the Vi, and then that creates the space for Jessica. So sure, they can't end, but as you said, they get the inhibitor bot side. They are going to be supers pushing. They pick up the dragon in rotation because why not? And then they're right back to Baron and Furia. Once again, have to fight this. But this time, they're on a timer. If they take too long to do this fight, if VKS just take their time doing this, then the minions will be pushing. And Jojo, he has to try and get vision at least.
Yeah, he has, but again, it always feels bad, right? Rocking a hard place, you lose your flash, and as a Leona, that's one of your main engaged tools. Over the wall, we're still looking, we're still watching, by the way. In goes a little bit of that Scryers just to see where everyone is. Baron is down to about 8.2. The longer this goes on, the longer it's going to get worse.
The equalizer.
Huge equalizer, though. Burning Tuts away, who has forced Zanyas and now allows the other fight on the other side of the wall. Scamber on his own, holding off on 3, which allows the rest of VKS to dogpile in on the battle. Heroic entrance into the exit. My friend, that is not the front door. IU trying to hold on for dear life, but there's the follow through. DeSamus jumps forward. It's an ace for Mir, and VKS slam the door shut once more.
Yeah, let's try this again, Orbital. And VKS with the big purple worm. We'll get the big purple dub on that. I want to highlight it. They never took Baron, by the way. Both of those were just baiting with Baron, and that's all they needed to do. You can see the faces of Furia. They know this time it's done. This time the death timers are not short enough, and VKS with a clean 2-0 take out 2 of the projected top 3 teams.
Beautiful work, and not just the projected. It's under the guise of a rebuild roster. You mentioned all the way at the beginning, and it's very appropriate to say 3 of the 5 members have been brought up from other sides. They've been brought in for this split, and we were mentioning that for this roster. It's fun. It's very, very fun watching them, and they should be so proud of how they perform. Look at this. They're so happy. But this is a roster that a lot of people were still saying there's question marks. There are a lot of question marks. They have now cemented that in this opener, they're ready to fight. If you give them a chance, if you do not respect the level of talent that they have now brought, they will rip a win away from you, whether you're missing a foot or fully armored.
And I just feel like that shows that they needed to make these changes, right? Like they had such big names last week. They had Kai Wing coming in the bot side. It just didn't work. And then you talk about how excited they look. Well, to me, what stands out is Miryu looks happy. Last split in split one, Miryu was down for most of it, and understandably so. He was not performing. He was struggling. It did not look great. But this split, Miryu has been a beast. Today, Miryu has been a beast. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets MVP for both his game performances on the Orianna and now on the Taliyah. Like you said, you can he was the guy fishing a lot for those picks, finding the Galio over and over and over again. His Weaver's Wall, as the game went on, became much more impactful, forcing some of those fights early on and not dying either. Like actually surviving through a lot of that, despite being the primary initiator, frankly, because Scamber couldn't even keep up with the ranges then. Yeah, because Scamber was following up because Miryu was just throwing himself in there and just buying time for the rest of the team to follow in. So yeah, VKS right now, they are on a tear. They are looking at the monsters they are, and maybe it's just Swedish AD carries. Like this team just looks better when they get these Swedish AD carries.
I've kind of given up on trying to figure out because honestly, every region has its moments, but this has been a phenomenal match to watch. Vivocade Stars showing up and really throwing a wrench into the plans of a lot of people that were looking at the split going, we know who's going to be at the top, we know who's going to be there, but again, it comes down to being CBLOL. Now, with that being said, I believe this series is over, but we got one more on the horizon for your viewing pleasure a little bit later on in the day. We are going to see Leviathan versus Pain Gaming. That'll be the second matchup of the day, and that'll be starting, I believe, either on a rolling schedule, so we'll see... rolling schedule, so we'll see it in a little bit. But we also have to get the teams on stage, and with that being said, we might have a rotation of who is here. So in the meantime, while we find our extra caster, I do want to turn your attention to our amazing podcast on the CBLOL English side, Gringos Liberados. If you want to go ahead and check out our thoughts on what this upcoming week was supposed to be, then feel free to go check it out, and maybe their thoughts next week on what is going to happen further on. We'll see you all in just a little bit for more CBLOL action. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning on in. Apologies about a little bit of that late start, but we're diving straight on in to game number 1 between Leviathan as well as, I believe, Pain. My name is Orbital. With me on the desk is someone a little bit different. It is Roodood, and we will be your casters for the series.
Yeah, and I have to apologize ahead of time for, first of all, the technical issues, and secondly, for any malfeasances with my voice. The operating software that we are using as an unofficial broadcast is just not suitable right now, and that's my fault. I'm currently coming through to you all on a headset microphone. If you know anything about audio, you will know that that is notoriously awful. Obviously, we are an unofficial stream, so if you want to help us out, subscribe, give us money, let us upgrade our setup. Because we do this for free. We do this for the love of everything South American League of Legends and for the love of the CBLOL.
Yes, we are here for the love of the game, much like Pain and Leviathan, considering they're both 0-1, and they are not taking wins as much as they probably wish. They're going to try and take some wins, though, as we get a little bit of a walkthrough. So, taking a look here, it looks like for both these squads, they have been a little bit off to a rough start. I believe Pain rotating out 4 out of their 5 members, very heavy on the shift, and then for Leviathan, just trying to stick together as much as possible. But the draft itself is a little bit wild. TF in the top lane with the Cassiopeia in the mid, and then on the flip side, it's a Syndra Victor setup on the bottom side of the map. Leviathan getting a little bit spicy. Divos, Buki, Enga, Strench, as well as Shiku on that roster.
Yeah, the new bot lane for Leviathan, Strench and Shiku there. Seos walking in. Shiku's just been watching this red buff as a guardian the entire time. Now he's going to call over Buki. Mid lane and top lane roam are in favor of Pain here.
That's going to be a dive on in. Buki trying to go for that red buff as much as possible. That might be the calling card of what wins and what doesn't right now. Level 1 versus level 2. Both trying to go low, and that's going to be the kill. Big pickup for Karaoke. That is a big one to hang on to. And with that first blood, Pain Gaming off to the races.
Yeah, and they just know that they've got the stronger 2 versus 2 here. The Leona, much stronger than a Nautilus. Now going to need said Leona to get out.
Wow. And opted to not go for it, instead sacrificing your life and still not getting the large gromp.
So that was when you got no W on Lee Sin, you obviously can't W out to people. We saw that Karaoke had Q and E, so didn't have the ability to jump back over the wall to Seos. Was looking to get level 3 maybe off of the camp and then hop over the wall, but without W there, you're kind of just stuck in with no way out. Bold obviously can't walk all the way around the long side of the buff to get in there. So it does just mean that it's Devost able to pick up an assist, which is a little bit unfortunate. He would have loved to walk into that top lane with a red buff. We get a breakdown here of how this all happened in the first place. Got Buki. He takes just a little bit too much damage overall from the buff. Red buff hits him once, twice. This is a third auto that's going to come through. And I think the real big difference maker here is the Leona passive. Whenever she hits somebody with an ability, there's bonus magic damage that gets put onto the next auto attack you put down as a champion yourself. Obviously, we saw sticking around a little bit too much. We're not done.
Hey, what's up, Roodood? This is the matchup that we wanted. Maybe coming back on in, and Karaoke this time is the one to go down.
Perfect. Absolutely lovely stuff. CBLOL never disappointing, and Leviathan getting a little bit of vengeance. It's Enga who comes out with the kill. Obviously, Leviathan started this split, swapping out their bot lane, and keeping the more surefire members of the squad in that role. So Devost, Buki, and Enga staying true to the comp. I think that Enga, one of the most higher performing mid laners on the lower seeded teams from split number 1 as we have here in the CBLOL. And I like this from Buki. Flashes away just to make sure Karaoke can't get a trade kill, to make sure that it is completely even overall, or completely winning rather overall, as Enga, like I say, one of the more better performing members of Leviathan, definitely deserving of keeping their spot here in the CBLOL, and we'll see if Enga can continue with that. The Syndra here in the back pocket, definitely a winning matchup versus the Cassio, so should be able to get some good things down with an extra little bit of gold from that assist.
And now talk to me about Vol's, topside TF. How is this going to round into the rest of the comp? Because we've seen some, of these duelists. We saw Tristana just last series. How does the TF actually play into it?
Yeah, again, any ranged top laner is typically good versus Gnar, because if you call Gnar ranged for the first sort of 15, for the first 15 minutes, you are overstating the auto attack range of a Gnar. Yes, it is technically throwing things at somebody, but it's 350 sort of range. You really don't have a lot of auto attack distance. So any of these targets that are more unilaterally ranged, I'll say, so Bowl on the TF, for example, has a base range that doesn't change. Gnar does as he gets levels. So the TF can do really well at spacing the Gnar and also trying to make sure that the high threat that Gnar typically has versus melee champions just doesn't particularly exist. So I think the TF, in answer to your question here, Orbital, can have a pretty good time of things.
Get that gold as well. Very, very comfortable in the set. But I appreciate that. I saw TF outside and I'm like, okay, listen, I know we're bringing some stuff out, but I wasn't fully expecting that one.
Now, how does it slot into the composition? That's a completely different question.
Yeah,
versus the Gnar itself, it looks good, and that was what was posited to me in terms of the
that's true.
In terms of how it looks in the comp. Well, you know what? They've got Seos to engage, and that's about it. Maybe Karaoke can find some nice angles, but they've got really good pick, really good single target damage. The Cassio does great at focusing down one target. If you get a gold card in, drop the grounded, really a nice and easy combo to try and take down one target. And when we look at the sort of damage profile or the tank stats that Leviathan have, honestly, not too many big beefy frontliners. They're not going to exist with the Merc Treads, but I think overall, anybody gets hit by that gold card, they will be in trouble.
Yep, it is going to be tough to kind of rebound off of that one. So let's see if Pain can keep up with that same kind of stylization. We need to make sure that they also play to their win condition, which is maybe not fight 5v5, but consistently find those picks, consistently rotate in, keep Leviathan almost on that back foot for Leviathan, though, recognizing that, hey, this mid lane needs to be pushed out. Enga needs a little bit of help. Level 6, sure, but you can see the buildup that's coming through for Pain in the mid lane. And Buki also on the back end, just kind of there as a backup choice. Karioka getting around that side and then wards out, really smartly spotted by the side of Leviathan,
in the danger,
leading a lot of that engagement.
Yeah, the Leona and the Nautilus, very under-leveled right now, and granted, we've got Aftershock on both sides, but that's only going to get you so far. So I think that for Shiku, for Seos, getting picked off, if you're the one that gets jumped on, that's a real big problem. If obviously you're the one engaging and you do end up getting the Aftershock proc, you can find some semblance of success, and we'll see whether or not that ends up coming to fruition for either of these sides. For the time being, though, we've settled down, and the gold lead largely existing in the jungle for Karioka, who's a good couple of camps up over Buki and has that extra kill. And then in that top lane as well, the product of a Twisted Fate passive is that you do secure gold leads just by going even. On average, 5 gold for every single CS that you get. So, sort of 350 gold currently for Bowl if he's last hit only minions, will mean that that's probably where the majority of that gold lead is coming from.
Yeah, it's just... Welcome to the gold train. You are okay with what you have, but that 500, I mean, Pain are going to be hanging on to that one. These rotations, though, are leaving the towers a little bit less pressured here. I believe pretty much every single tower currently has all of their plates up outside of, I think, the top side. So it's more focused on this global objective game. Dragon is still up and available. It was a mountain, but the grubs, is quite important. Buki is going to shine a little bit of a light what Karioka and the rest of the squad is doing, but it didn't catch Seos, who was looking for the Zenith Blade, but it does miss. Shiku now wandering into enemy territory. It is a 3v4 for the current moment. You can see the Gnar on the top side of the bar. Devo's waiting for a chance to try and jump on in. Gnar bar is getting a little bit closer to full, and they are going to go ahead and capitalize. Pain now going to try and turn it around. Seos diving on in. There's going to be a look at a kill, but what a quick slam in denial. It's a 1-for-1 at the end, but Kine flashes on in with the petrifying gaze. Kane, I will give the appropriate name, and that is a flush out of damage as Pain wins the team fight.
Top side. Oh, me there. EP differential was massive.
Yeah, very, very useful. You can see here a little bit of a dive forward here as it's this hook in. You could see the idea, right? But even that last little grub going the way of Karaoke, and then look, everything utilized to stop that Lee Sin from getting a good kick, but Kane just wanders on, and beautiful miasma on the ground. It feels so good watching Pain pull off a team fight such as that.
And that's what you can expect. Really good map movement by Kaney and by Pain as a whole as well. The way that they moved around the rift, actually allowing for Henna to come up to begin with. Then he can allow Kaney goes down to bot lane. Kaney TP's in. Like, just everything there led to them looking for that fight and coming out massively on top with it.
Now, of course, can they continue this sort of pressure? We mentioned for the squad, the 5v5 might not be exceptional. Yes, you can see Kane become this monster later, but has gone a little bit more softer route. You take a look with that Deathfire touch in the back end, it feels good, but you went Merc Treads early. You're going for a little bit more safety. You don't have the oomph build up. It's going to delay your build a little bit more. Because of that, we want to see them be able to keep this pressure up, keep this level of versatility, this constant roaming about. I want to see it in their arms as much as possible. For Buki, though, doing your best to kind of hang on as Henna actually popped. I want to say that was the barrier.
Yeah.
And Strenchel has everything up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking for a very aggressive trade, using the barrier to do so, but couldn't get in range to auto-attack, so ultimately just, barrier as a laser still gets value, and I mean, the way that the game's been going doesn't feel like there's much to happen down on that bot side. We do see Bowl. I'm pretty sure that DeVos probably knows that there's a TF still in the laning phase, and we'll see whether or not Seos was able to sneak in there. Kraken Slayer already picked up for the TF, so doing very well in terms of farm and gold, able to get to that breakpoint nice and early. Will mean that he's dealing a lot of damage to DeVos if they can get a little bit of time there.
With that recall chance, Seos knows. Seos is thinking, Bowl with a beautiful wait. Now, of course, this Mega Gnar takes a little bit longer, but the CC chain is good. DeVos waiting for a chance, but a great Gnar against that wall. Bowl will go ahead and TP on in, but you're a little bit further out. Flashes forward. Last kick to help secure, and Bowl will get that kill. Well done on the collapse.
Yeah, really good layering of the CC as well. Obviously, up against the Twisted Fate, you're going to build those Merc Treads. You're going to try to get the extra tenacity. But that doesn't stop Seos. He times the Solar Flare oh so well after the gold card as well, knowing that even with the reduced timer, he's going to need to get that ulti down on the right window. Does exactly that. DeVos with a good effort to try and get away, ultimately unsuccessful. The Destiny Gate more than capable of closing that gap. Leviathan do find a dragon on the bot side, but it's at the cost of their top laner and at the cost of this Twisted Fate becoming incredibly strong.
I just want to wait and see once we get to see this AD Twisted Fate really roam out, and this constant annoyance, that is rude beyond belief. DeVos is going to hop on out, and Bowl doesn't have the range this time, but that is enough of a fear point that I think for DeVos, who had to go the Merc Treads, is like, all right, that's what we're dealing with here today. Great, thanks. I appreciate this.
Yeah, and a couple of, there are a couple of these champions that just kind of demand it. The TF being one of them, the Syndra on the other side as well, as Strench now in trouble.
Good flash at the last second, got out of that center piece, and that landed. That would have been Kane to take it away, but for Leviathan being forced to be very, very reactive to a lot of these plays right now, losing Summoner Spells and all. Feels nice that for all that went down, DeVos is able to get at least a plate for themselves.
We'll see if they can find maybe a little bit more. We do get a replay of that top play. Again, look at the layering of the CC here. DeVos barely able to walk an inch before he gets hit once again. And Bowl, really nice stuff, flashes in for the gold card. Good timing from Karaoke as well to make sure that he's landing the Sonic Wave on the stunned target, not looking to do it before that CC does come through, just minimize the error as best as possible. So far, really good mechanics from Pain and some really good movements on the map as well. Karaoke actually the only person who's died on his team. So the rest of the squad doing incredibly well, making sure that they are staying safe and getting farmed up in this early stage of the match. I think Bowl eyes on this guy so far because really solid opening, 1,300 gold to the good, and with those Swifty boots as well now, going to just be able to run down anyone.
It's going to be so frustrating whenever you see that that Destiny kind of called down. It's going to be terrifying. And for Pain, we want to use that allotted fear as much as possible. For Leviathan, the wait's coming. But Right now, about 14 minutes into the game, we're watching and waiting for the second Drake to come down in about 3 minutes. Herald will be up shortly as well, but this is a big play coming in for Leviathan. Set up a 3 on top, but with that pink ward, it's kind of identified here. Shiku cannot get that level down, and because of that, Bull is able to take up first tower on the top side of the map. Very well done to Pain, who, as we mentioned, kind of swapping around their roster. This is a time where they need to start kind of showing their fangs. They lost week number 1, and against the Leviathan squad, you don't want to be losing again.
Yeah, and a 2-1 up against Loud, who have made some real improvements as well as some other changes. I think them getting Kaze into the mid lane is a pretty big pickup for a role on Loud that was quite volatile through this year. Obviously, for Leviathan, not quite the same story, an 0-2 swift exit to week number 1, but it's Pain who have got a little bit to prove here, making all of these changes, trying to return to some semblance of the former beast that they used to be. They've brought back Seos, who once upon a time was the best support in Brazil. They've brought over Henna, who had a good little run in the LCS as well, alongside Karaoke Kaney, these sort of long-standing, more prized pieces of CBLOL teams.
The prize pieces are here to play, but it's all about also watching Leviathan falter a bit. That was a little bit of a push in on Henna's side, but pretty much every skill shot went a little bit wide, so no resounding damage afterwards, and it's just that. Oh my god! Enga, as we look on down, takes a narrow victory over the likes of Bull, and now we get a mid lane battle here. It seems like the bot lane kicked off the mid lane, as that's going to be a catch. Cataclysm holds them all in place. Meganarv not really up. Devos actually has to jump back out of that battlefield, but is able to stay alive for the moment, as that's another crack at one more body. Seos goes down.
So 2 kills in quick succession for Leviathan. They even up the gold scorers. Pain Gaming just have a little bit of an oopsie around various areas of the map. Enga finds the solo kill versus Bowl in the bot side. And then in the mid lane, Seos does fall. Now has the protoplasm, so he's going to be a little bit more durable in upcoming fights. Bowl just looking to freeze this wave here. Dodges out on the first Q and the W, so very clearly thinks this is my time to shine. However, Enga, the counterplay spells came through, pressed R, then shotgun stunned him. And this Syndra had the Blackfire, had the tier 3 boots upgraded, so at that stage, Syndra just a little bit too strong.
I mean, you also look at the fact that this is ADTF, and yeah, ADTF, you kind of need to auto attack, right? You're not going to be seeing that. So multi-stun, just you're stuck in there. Very well done, though. The fact that it was so close will be fun to watch for the future. Herald, though, dropped into that mid lane, slammed into the wall, gets 2 plates, and sets up for potential around this dragon. But with the ward coverage, Pain a little bit more offensive in the ward coverage. On the flip side, same for Leviathan. You can see their warning is a little bit deeper into enemy territory. Dragon will be hotly contested here in the next minute or so. Bookie already on it.
Yeah, and I think that for Pain Gaming, it's now about getting Bowl down to this fight as soon as possible. 2 items on the Twisted Fate, Rapid Fire Cannon in the inventory as well. Means that it's really easy for that fight to be started. You can make your way in, auto somebody, and here comes the fight.
They're going to go ahead and dance on in, but Seos was not the right way to go. Stunned up in the gravity well, plus a slam on the back of the head, and it just means Pain have to walk away. Leviathan take the free kill and the dragon for their troubles. Infernal,
yeah, Destiny.
Really one to play for.
Used there by Bowl, but he just joins with the rest of the team. Feels like he could have walked that. Didn't generate any of those unique angles that you can with the Twisted Fate in an effort to try and create some sort of a distraction. Instead, Seos goes forward. None of his team are there to follow up. And you can see Shiku knows, well, all I've got to do is just hit front target. They've got enough damage with all 5 members there. And they do just end up popping the Leona. Do see now a lot of focus towards this bot side. At the very least, Bowl going to be able to find a turret plating, maybe 2 here. Seos also nearby. That's 160 gold for Bowl, just like that. And he's going to look for a third also, plus another wave. This Twisted Fate is going absolutely crazy.
I really do feel like this entire game does feel like everyone knows the position they're supposed to be in, but that trigger being pulled is probably the hardest part. It is very, very scary. It is very tough as we're seeing another engagement come in here. Karaoke just kind of running interference, but we are just watching kind of this game devolve into, well, who's willing to swing first? If you step out of line, yeah, you're in trouble. But outside of that, I do agree. You can see right now, Bowl on the side is very much crushing the tower game. It's 2-1 still. We're seeing a match pace. Enga getting gifted a lot of that gold will be a menace to watch for, but for Pain, you're opening up a lot more of the map, and now it's just about that mid lane that you got to take down.
Yeah, it's definitely a solo lane battle here. Bowl versus Enga is going to be the crucial carries on either side of these team fights to keep our eyes on, as Bowl looks like they're working towards what could be an Infinity Edge, could also be like a shield bow or something. With the items that you went back to pick up, you could have just bought the BF sword, instead optimizing into some, or optioning, going for some crit, and then the pickaxe as well. Feels like you're not actually just going into the Infinity Edge. If you've ever watched anybody build an Infinity Edge orbital and they go back to base with enough gold for, that's what, 1,500 gold's worth of stats there, they get the BF sword.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So either Bowl has gone for the weirdest build path known to anybody, or there's something that he's chefing up. Maybe that's going to be a Noon Quiver for the crit cloak.
Oh, that would be a spicy way to go. More attack speed in there. But right now we're watching Anna, who just gets a catch on the side. But the Cataclysm back into the Chaos Storm is doing enough damage. It slows down the rest of the battle, keeps them off the back foot. I believe Kane did the shortest TP I've seen in a while. I believe that was from their blue buff over towards that spot. So a little bit surprising on that end.
Yeah, only shortened by Bowl, who Destiny gated from one side of mid lane to the other to start the previous fight. So, you know, it's becoming hereditary for Pain Gaming at this stage. They're all on it for some various reason. As Leviathan in the last sort of 10 seconds have actually done very well in the neutral objective game. They've managed to take down 2 of those structures, get themselves a little bit more gold up on the board. Again, Enga, the person that we need to keep our eyes on as a Leviathan supporter. We get another look back at this fight. Nobody actually dies here, and you get to see the power of the Jarvan Victor combo and how safe Enga can be with that flash. Chaos Storm goes down, 3 people locked in the Cataclysm. They just have to sit there and wait. It's pretty brutal for them, but they come away relatively unscathed as everybody else was locked in the Solar Flare.
Yeah, I do appreciate, though, that so far Pain have not really shied away from engaging most of the time, right? I mentioned that it's a little bit tougher, but they are willing to kind of go forward, and it's allowed them to play a little bit safer because of that. Now, the Petrifying Gaze is a little bit wild. I think you were assuming Buki was going to jump in, but it holds them off. The problem being, Dragon's up in a minute, and you really wish you had that, but for Enga, you boost straight into a Death Rush that honestly you had no idea about. I cannot blame that on you, but that sucks.
Yeah, and that's your really fed member as well. The fact that Enga's falling means you're pretty much giving up all control. 2 items on the Syndra, the Hourglass as well, working on being picked up. So now a really difficult position as you try to work towards that dragon. You're going to have TP available for Enga when he respawns, so it's still possible that you can try to find a fight, but really it's going to be difficult to face check and get that vision back. As Bowl working through that bot lane tier 2, there's now nobody to answer that because the Syndra did go down. And yeah, we take a look at the inventory. Noon Quiver there for Bowl, suggesting he's going for not the Infinity Edge that we were looking at.
Yeah, it's a whole different route. As you said, the Noon Quiver is really, really key call out here. Just having a little bit more attack speed in there, having that extra damage is going to be very useful, especially spiking on that 4th auto attack card. See if it works, though, as a TP straight to mid lane. That is Devos using that TP just to reposition. Didn't like the flank angle, I guess, but it's very, very necessary. Dragon taking down to about 2k. It's dropping very, very quickly. Are you going to be able to steal away? No, you don't. Shiku tries to go in, but this is going to leave Sales right in the pit alone. They're going to flash over the wall and disengage. So making sure that Devos doesn't get that Meganar off and slam you all into the wall.
I mean, for Pain Gaming there, that's job done. All they wanted was the objective. They go in, they take the Drake, and a good smite fight there by Karioka does mean it's a first dragon of the game picked up for Pain. Good that they were able to deny that from Leviathan. Would have put a lot of pressure on any subsequent dragons. And at this stage as well, Bowl, level 15, 3 items in the inventory. Let's get this person, let's get this man out to a side lane. Let's get him into really any sort of skirmish situation and allow this Twisted Fate to just run riot, because he's so far ahead on gold that you're looking at this fight should be fine.
Enga not happy about the current position they're in. This level of rotational value is too dang good.
I mean, TF versus Syndra round 2. This time we brought a blind monk to the party as well, and even without it, I feel like the Twisted Fate was in a very good spot. The hourglass sort of wasted there, or the stopwatch effect of it sort of wasted. Now going to need to work on at least 1,700 gold to try to find the fully completed item. And Enger, second time he's been picked off. That time around, obviously, a little bit subject to the Twisted Fate ulti, but the person on your team who you have got all of the gold in consistently getting picked really doesn't feel great. And for Leviathan, it could just be another spell, another start to a pretty disappointing series.
Leviathan, you're trying your best. We will give them credit for it, but this composition just ain't it for the moment. Of course, Devos might be able to slam it away, has had some pretty good Gnar moments, but I mean, what are we hoping they can do to kind of turn it around? As we mentioned, Bowl and Karaoke, they're pretty much unchecked right now, and that Kane is starting to get stronger, same with Henna. Where do we want to see Leviathan currently be if they're going to mount a comeback in the current situation? They are down about 3k as we spotted, but it ain't the end of the world just yet, right?
Yeah, the gold lead is top lane right now, so they've got two options, and this is the tale as old as time. Focus the global, so Bowl doesn't get to use the Twisted Fate ulti to go out onto the map. You go to the Twisted Fate. That's a really good way to try to punish it. Or focus supporting Enger. This guy's got all of your gold. Make sure that you're giving him the space to play these team fights with the gold lead. For Leviathan, those are their two options, and if they ever do try to take a fight, do it where Bowl's not there, because if they do that, then they're actually on even footing in the 4v4.
Right now, another low catch as Buki is forced to flash away. That solar flare is so painful. Leona, one of the oldest, I want to say, pure CC champions that we've had in this game. Just that solar flare is painful when you see it coming down. You either flash or lose your life.
Let's see Shiku in a little bit of trouble walking with Buki though, so nothing too untoward. Do want to call out quickly very much a thank you to Lizard for the raid as well. Massive Lev fan coming in to support and showcase a little bit of support to the stream as well. Welcome to everybody from Lizard's channel. As we do take a look back into the game and see that Pain, with that small lead, are going to be looking to leverage that into a Drake take in 90 seconds time. They do still have that burden over their shoulders, can't be giving over more Infernal Dragons, or really any, if they want to secure themselves a good standing in this game. And also every single Drake that they do take does give them a good amount of bonuses. If they can work towards a Quadra Infernal Soul, that is just way too much damage to withstand.
Quadra Infernal Soul is like the death sentence I've ever seen in a game, right? It's just so much extra damage, and especially for a composition that is so damage overloaded. I'm excited to see what they can do in bringing that down for their own. Now, is that going to be their only banking point? I do not assume so. We are seeing them start to position around this Baron side, maybe looking for a chance to kind of scout in for the enemy side. You can see a couple wards on the back end and cheeky positions here. This blue ward has been utilized very, very comfortably to get a view on that juncture, but without being spotted by a pink ward that is always placed on the outside of that blue buff brush. Very smart placement, and of course is going to be spotted here a little bit later on that curl down. But a lot of the ward vision kind of just all over the place, looking for the right opportunity.
And again, it's all on these supports. Who's going to be finding that engage, especially when the Twisted Fate isn't there? Bowl can walk forward quite menacingly with a gold card and that rapid fire auto attack ready. Becomes even worse. This rapid fire plus Hex Optics combo is terrifying to try to play up against once that first kill does come through, but even more so, Bowl now has an infinity edge. So this is 75% crit chance, nuking people with cards.
Another great dragon take. This time Seos did frontline, but they were able to turn it around, and Pain are slowly becoming the monsters that we have foreseen them to be. Bowl running at you with a gold card ain't going to give you anything. Devos, even in the Meganar, doesn't find the right opportunity to go in. It just doesn't feel good. I think for Leviathan is just seeing the lights slowly be snuffed out one by one.
Yeah, and just the second that you go in as Shiku, if it's not onto the right target, aka Bowl, you just get obliterated. Kaney
I love that flash forward, and they're going to try and turn it around. Babuki runs interference and immediately gets Twin Fang down. Devos in the Mininar has to run away. Babol speeds themselves up. Enga with that little golden statue will fall, and now it's a chase on for the rest of the bodies. Devos, wrong side of the map. Strength able to gravity wall multiple members. Shiku is here to help out, but just draws in Kane a little bit closer to the rest of the battle. Q lands, but your miasma down, and well, at least CC down by your own Cassiopeia. Devos is able to get away, but still destruction against Leviathan as they are sent on a run.
Yeah, Pain in a very good spot here for game number 1. Expect them to be able to secure the Baron here and start dotting their I's, crossing their T's. 17,000 HP on the big purple worm. That is going to get taken down incredibly quickly. The Corki quietly under the radar. 3 items, 4-0-2, a very good opener for Henna in this series. Aseos throws over a Zenith Blade just to give a little bit more of a boost to the Pain Gaming DPS, but that is Baron secured. That is this first game very much favourable for them. And for Leviathan now, questions of how did this get so out of control? Where did we go wrong? And you have to sort of look at the massive disparity in that top lane, and more so off of that top fight. Kaney starts us off with a massive flash forward, and it does bait in Leviathan to try and get a little bit out of the Cassio. But as soon as Bol goes forward, every single gold card is a death sentence. And unfortunately, therefore, Strench, a little bit of a late flash does cost them a lot of their HP. But Bol now, walking still out onto the map, hasn't actually spent any of the gold that they got from that fight.
Yeah, there. It's just, he's hanging on to it. He says, listen, the wallet's pretty heavy on its own. Imagine there is an item that allows you to swing your wallet around. How funny would that be?
Based on total gold in your inventory, get certain amount of adaptive forces. That would be the ultimate endgame item, really. Yeah.
With bonus damage, with how much gold you accumulate, that hasn't been spent.
Yeah. That's the...
There would have to be a way to lose the money, though. There would have to be that mechanic of every time you die, you lose money, though, right?
Yeah, probably. Or you could only build it as like a 6th item or whatever it is, and then you're just incentivized to get to max items as fast as possible. Final Siege, I feel like though.
Yeah, it would have to be full items, right? It couldn't be like components. That would be
no.
That would be breaking the game kind of thing.
Yeah, you'd need to be. It'd have to be you build together 6 full items, and then that becomes that item.
It
unlocks.
You know? We call it the Wallet Warrior. That's actually the name of it. That would be great.
Yeah, and it builds out of 6 specifically garbage items. Like you'd have to sandbag yourself for the entire game. Like you have to build 6 daggers that all cost 3,000 gold, and then you get to build this item.
Wait, can it be like one from every role specific? Yeah, I was gonna say golden spatula, but the 6th item has to be that warning totem.
No, yeah, the spatula does. The spatula is different. The spatula's a lot of stats for everybody. This is a very specific. You get no stats until the very end, right? The way we have to build this is you're not allowed stats at all. We've workshopped this. We've expounded on the golden spatula. It starts off as what is ultimately just the silver turd, and then becomes the golden spatula.
Oh, it'd be so good. It would be so dumb but so good. It would make me so happy. All right, taking a look, though. As we waited, we did see what is the appropriate move by Pain, clearing out a lot of the towers, just kind of going through the motions as Leviathan just kind of watched their base get demolished step 1, step 2, step 3.
Not really any surprises either here with the Twisted Fate level 19 now.
Yep.
That's the luxury to be able to build into a Seeker's Arm Guard, so any problems that do come their way, I can just go golden and potentially avoid them all. So if I see Syndra ulti flying my way, if there's a Victor ulti burning me down, well, then I've got a way to try and avoid that. Obviously, Leviathan do still have a good amount of strength. Strench on this Victor, nearly 4 items. When that death cap comes through, definitely going to be a problem to try and deal with. But I don't think it's anything near the scale of Pain Gaming here. They are picking up their 3rd Infernal Dragon. This one, much like the last uncontested, and with Henna 4 items deep as well, this could very well be Pain Gaming just securing themselves game number 1 in this series.
I mean, if they do so, it'll be very, very comfortable for themselves as well. We mentioned that for Pain, they had a very rough go in week number 1.
Bol, he's just changing the game with these ults, really.
He's having... I don't know what to say about it, but it is very
such
funny
mastery of
watching it
Twisted
happen.
Fate has never been seen before. That's what this is.
I'm waiting for the time he accidentally fat fingers it and just TP's in place. Like 100%
Yeah.
that has to happen, right?
Yeah, but you see, at this point, he's training us to think that it wasn't a fat finger; it was just an optimum way to get from A to B. You know, this is he just
That's
knows on
true.
such a deep level
Alright.
how these Twisted Fate ults work.
I do also figure that because you know what fight's not coming up, you're essentially using it as vision control to
Yeah.
pre-ward every single time. Like you get full information of the enemy team. So I kind of get it. It's just funny watching it go down, man. It is very funny watching that happen.
Yeah, I think there's they try and find everybody, and at this point on the Twisted Fate, it kind of acts like Rengar ult as well, where if somebody's just a little bit too far forward, you just kill them.
Yeah.
And that's it for the Twisted Fate. Like it's the play pattern at this stage is lock gold card, find somebody isolated, stun them, and then kill them in the duration of the stun. That's the fun of AD Twisted Fate. Looking across the board for some Merc treads. In fairness, Leviathan have done a pretty good job here. Buki, Devost, Shiku, all with those Mercury treads, which does give them a good amount of tenacity and means that they'll be able to withstand probably an extra couple of autos before they go down.
Yeah. I mean, you also look at Enga, who kind of has one. I mean, if you look at the fact that you had the Zanyas, you can't go Banshee Zeal, by the way, because the Destiny call down is it breaks the Banshees, so it kind of sucks. Zanyas, though, will stall out, and it's nice to have. However, we're taking a look at a battle coming up here, a massive fight, one that we haven't seen for ages. In goes that Destiny, as we mentioned before, and everyone is currently
That's the good angle.
around. That is a testy spot to TP into. But what a kick! Enga to the back lines, as that'll be the Zanyas to keep alive for a little bit longer. But this is how you draw them apart. This is how you pick an opponent to pieces. You will sacrifice your life, but bowls them over, and Pain will take a nasty 4-for-1 team fight.
And it's Bol who sacrifices himself there to get an extra stun card onto Strench, who does put down a good amount of damage there with that Chaos Storm, but Devost about to go Mega. Can you defend in a 1 versus 4? My eyes, my odds, they all suggest that you cannot.
Yeah, you're going to try your best, maybe slam them all against the wall, but that's going to be a slam into the tower. That might be one. That's going to be good, but of course, it is just icing on the cake. Unfortunately, there's not much else for Leviathan to do, as Pain Gaming will slowly shred on through the final Nexus piece. A very nice Valkyrie forward for a great Game 1 victory.
Yeah, they got a little bit close there. The death time is quite short, did allow for some respawns to come through, but Pain will be more than happy. It's their second game win of split number 2, but they'll be looking to turn this one into a fully fledged series win as well. Off of a very convincing game number 1, it is worth saying.
Yeah, and all props to Bull. You mentioned it all the way at the beginning. Individually, this champion, it takes some leading off to get going, but once it got rolling, and I think they did stick to their win conditions when we were watching, right? We were watching as this entire squad kind of roamed around, always looking for that quick pick, always looking for that chance to kind of fight back, and I really do appreciate what they were able to pull off. So, I mean, do we expect Leviathan to be able to bounce back?
You know what? I really hope so. Is my nice answer to that. The realistic part of that is that I don't know if they've got it in them, to be honest, with
True.
the teething problems that we got to see. And I think that, in fairness, that game itself was very isolating in the sense that the only reason that game was anywhere near as difficult as it was because Bol was just so far ahead. And that came from one single fight around the top side of the rift, where if that fight goes just slightly differently, the whole game plays out completely differently. So that's one of those games where I actually think if one thing has led to a sort of snowballing effect, if that doesn't happen the next time round, then sure, absolutely, there's a world where Leviathan can play as an even game, can do well, and maybe get themselves off to their first game win even of this series, of this season rather.
Yeah, it is just it's a chance and a half. Again, both teams also chasing their first series victory here in Split 3. I believe Split 2 technically is the title that we're going with, but to each their own because the teams need time to figure things out. Pain Gaming up 1 in the series, but there's a whole lot more League of Legends to play here on day 1 of this week. Don't go anywhere. The CBLOL English broadcast will be back in just a bit. Once more, we are back looking at Pain Gaming versus Leviathan, a game where it was a little bit off to a slow start, but Bull really went at it. And for Pain, it's a revitalization process, a squad that, you know, kind of went through some rough patches, restructured, and are hoping to come out as a team that has some gumption in here. Maybe they can take game 2 here, or maybe we see a game 3.
Yeah, I think for Pain, it should be a 2-0. They're a organization now who have kind of been in the mud for a little bit too long. A massive fan base who are incredibly loyal, who haven't had the glory that Pain that they seek in a little bit too long. They've gone out this split. They've splashed the cash a little bit and they've picked themselves up some really high profile players. Seos coming into the support role is a really big pickup. When he left Brazil, was at the top of his game, probably the best support that we had in the league. Henna as well, from a split in the LCS, comes over to Pain Gaming, and then Bowl, who I think was a little bit of a wildcard pickup to take into the top lane, who has been he's been an absolute journeyman through the CBLOL and the LTA North and various different iterations of the league, has really played on his fair share of sides. I mean, just looking across at some of the teams that he's played in just the last sort of 3 years, was on Los Grandes, then Los, then spent a little bit of time in the in CD, then on VKS, on Pain Gaming before that, spent some time on the Red Canids, on Flamenco when they were still an organization, so has played for his fair share of top laners, and then way back in the day on Kaboom as well, near enough when we first started doing this. He's been around the block, to say the least, as far as top laners go. Not quite found a home for too long, and hopefully on this Pain roster he can show a little bit of what he's been up to. I remember when he was on VKS in that 2025 year, came out as somehow one of, if not the best top laner that was present in the CBLOL, and he's going to need to return to those highs if he wants to see this Pain roster succeed as well.
Yeah, gonna take a little bit more weight to swing around in there as we look over at Leviathan's side, a squad that historically has had, you know, maybe not the best ups and downs, but in this position so far is currently down. Devolst, Ibuki, Enga, Strench, and Shiku. These 5 trying to make their mark once more and give themselves a better chance at maybe more of a mid-ground play, but so far swimming up that creek has not yielded any results.
Yeah, and this team, I think the same side that came away with a second place in 2025, like in the LTA split number 1. So they've seen success, but then after that they immediately bottomed out and have not looked good, particularly since then. LTA South split 1 was their second place, where they came, I think, second to Isurus Estral. The other LTA team, so we really thought it was a nice amalgamation to find the other LLA team, excuse me, but since then their results have not particularly closed out how they would like. We are into the draft though for game number 2, and we'll get to hopefully go through this one without too many problems.
Yeah, I think we are gonna get through it, and again, a little bit of a shift here. Leviathan still on the red side, but of course their first pick. So big eyes on what they actually optimize into for their opening sides. Last time we saw the likes of the Syndra being picked up, we saw a chance against the likes of a TF. I think that was an early pickup there as well. But they're focused more heavily on some of the more stringent factors. And Orianna Nocturne ban on the side of Leviathan doesn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence. I feel like you would actually want that banned out by Pain. But Leviathan, they ban both away and also the Lucian.
Okay, so no Lucian Milio, no oppressive bot lane allowed here. And we'll see what it is. The first pick with Camille off the board. We've got Cassio taken away as well. Orianna off the board. So no mages just yet down on that bot side. The Ezreal is the common answer to those mages. So sort of preempting here maybe that Henna might try to find something outside of the marksman role itself.
grabbing an Ezreal early. I mean, we've seen this before in some of the other series. Some teams actively kind of bucking against, I want to say, that double APC situation. And in this spot, it is just, we know we need the safety, but it is going to be answered quite quickly. And I like what Pain have actually optimized for with the Caitlyn pickup. This does lead me to believe that this might be a Karma lock-in as well. If you want to go a bully lane in the bot side, it's not a bad idea against an Ezreal. Granted, Ezreal is going to play safe, but the poke game can be very, very brutal to deal with.
Yeah, I think I'd take your jungler here if there's one that you want above all else. You can pair Ez with Karma, you can pair the Ezreal and the Caitlyn with Karma as well, so there are plenty of pairings for both of these two, so it's not too much of a big deal to give either away. As it turns out, they're going to elect to take the Bard and give first choice of those junglers over to Leviathan. Again, lots of AD junglers still available. Looking at the Xin Zhao as an option. Trundle could come through as well. Wukong up and ready for the taking if either of these sides do want it. So a little bit of a surprise to me that Pain's so heavily incentivized to take the Bard. But I'm always here for playmakers in Seos' hands, and I think that this time round he doesn't have to put his body on the line. Can really easily impact the map as well.
True. Very, very rotational heavy, and now we're seeing a build-up a little bit different here. Leviathan showing a lot of primary role positions with the Anivia hover. I think it was also in good jest. We saw the Xerath hover earlier by Carioca, so maybe just having a bit of fun right back there. But the Wukong, this makes sense, very stable in that jungle role, and we've seen it used to great efficiency by a lot of really talented people.
Yeah, good to see that the Wukong here is getting a play. I think that this now gives a lot of options to Pain Gaming. Like I say, that Trundle exists. You can go Xin Zhao if you really want to. So, wouldn't be surprised if Pain here just sort of lock in a jungler, something that's going to pair nicely with the Caitlyn and the Bard, and then look to keep their cards close to their chest moving into the next round of picks. Looks like, though, that Jace getting locked in. The beginnings of a poke composition and the denial also of poke fully fletched out on Leviathan's side. Obviously, when you see the Ezreal, there's the option to go for the Jace as well and start truly poking at people. But this Jace, incredibly flexible, can go across all three of the top side champions and doesn't really reveal anything about Pain's comp.
No, I mean, well, you know that they are leaning more towards poke composition, obviously, but yeah, it's not obvious what comes next, which I do appreciate. The Olaf ban away, making sure Leviathan doesn't get that freedom to run at you for basically no cost. On the flip for Leviathan, there's only so much that you can really focus on, and they're going to focus on that jungle. You mentioned before having that basically R3 for Kayn or for Carioca, get that jungler, make sure it's not pinched. But they opted against it, so now we're going to see the Trundle and more taken out of Carioca's hands.
Alrighty. And then obviously with it being first selection on Leviathan's side, they did take the first pick forced over onto the red side by Pain Gaming, saying that they wanted blue side. We'll see whether or not their setups around the dragons are any better. Would like to take a look at what they can do in the first pick they take here. They're going to get to counter one of the lanes and then have to blind the other, which is typically less favourable, but we'll see where it goes from here as Pain Gaming themselves have to now take a pickup, reveal a little bit here of that flexibility. Feels like Leviathan are very sure that this is a Jace in a solo lane. Bol has played his fair share of this pick, but not to say that Carioca can't put it into his own hands as well.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of spice. Now, the crazy thing would be if you do match, if you leave your jungler for the last, you're putting a lot of weight on Carioca, who on the Lee Sin had some power, and you actually opt into, a wild choice in this Maokai. Hefty shift out.
Yeah, hey, so this is Engage that pairs up nicely, and it does give them a bit of a front line, which they, I suppose, were missing. And again, this can go top, it can go jungle. Expectation, I would say, is that the Maokai goes jungle and that the Jace then goes top. So you've revealed your hand a little bit there with that and saying that that's the case, but you obviously can just swap them around and say that that's not actually going to be what happens here. It means that there's a mid lane blind pick here for Leviathan. The Cassante as a pick into the Jace itself. Typically you can kind of go even, you're going to get bullied by the Jace a little bit, but we know what both of these champions are going to do as the game gets later.
Yep.
And then the Rise locked in here. Oh, never mind. Yeah, Rise locked in, excuse me. Does now give Kaney real reign to go for one of those old school counter picks. Get that Anivia locked in if that's what they desire.
Xerath, Anivia, might as well go Vigar as well. Just go down the list of mid laners that you can pick. Just have a blast with it. Of course, it's an idea. That's all I can say. Don't pick any of those. All right. Galio makes sense. Again, with the composition that wants to stay a little bit more in the front line, wants to duel it out. It's a little bit weaker on the damage profile, I will say, but in terms of the safety value, I can see why you've decided with these picks.
It's now a Caitlyn comp. That's what this is. It's get Henna fed and then allow for him to carry the game. For Leviathan, they've got a much more generic composition, I would say, where they've got this front line in Devost and Bucky who are going to buy space for Enger and Strench to try to do damage. That checks out. Pain have got a similar situation here with Kaney and Carioca trying to buy space, but then they've also got that little bit of an X factor of the Jace in the top lane as well, where that poke is really going to begin to sing. And I do like Maokai with poke compositions because he can set up for that poke much more easily. As soon as anybody looks to face check a brush, they get slowed by a sapling. That slow then means that the Mystic Shots, the accelerated shock blasts, are much easier to land.
Miss Smubs have been made. It is time to dive on into this game number 2. A couple fans in there. Still repping your favorites, of course. Very happy. And some smiles, maybe a little bit of a understanding that and accepting that there might be some unfortunate L's along the way. For Leviathan and Pain Gaming, though, both teams actively trying to get some wins on the board. And for Pain, this could be a huge step forward for them. Let's see if they can pull it off. As our Day 2 Series 2 is going to be underway for game number 2. Go ahead and wave at the camera as all the audience members, I'm sure, are excited to be here.
Just did a little bit of digging here. One of the newer players in the CBLOL on the bot lane for Leviathan. Strench, a player who's been playing for 6 years at this stage, started his career obviously in LATAM with in October 2020. Has been playing in and out of, looks like, Tier 1 for the best part of 6 years. Notably, before his spot on Leviathan was on a team called Dr. Esports from CD, I believe. So also a member of the Brazilian national or of the Brazilian ecosystem, has been since July 2025. But came into Leviathan after a good long time in the LTA South and the Latin America teams.
I love and appreciate how much info is there for us to gather and to watch it all go down as we get Uncle Sam on Enga. Enga rocking with that Rise skin, which is an oldie but a goodie, I gotta say. Of course, for Kane, just going with a little bit more of a pump-up jam style, much more stylistic when it comes to a Mecha Galio. Love Enga, though, who is already trying to assert dominance here in the mid lane against a Galio who is going to be a lot more defensive, trying to make sure Kane doesn't get any sort of freedom with the gold generation.
Yeah, and did succeed at sort of establishing that priority early on in game number 1 as well. The Syndra, the largest gold gap that there was for Leviathan was in that mid lane, and it was Enga who was pushing that one to the limit, so I expect that to stay the same once again. Henna, even though Strench was farming really nicely, Henna consistently had a gold lead and was constantly looking to try to fight back. So we do get to see on this bot lane, it's been a real tug of war through this early game. Lots of battling, lots of fighting going back and forth, and so far, no summoner spells burned, but it feels like we're just a few moments away from really getting off to the races in that sense. I want to quickly draw your attention to the top side jungle. There you go, there's the barrier from Henna to try and block a little bit of damage and put some poke down onto Strench and Shiku. But the Wukong went back to base, picked up a longsword. Carioca on the Maokai, not going to have that luxury to be able to do that and keep the pace of clear as high as you'd like.
Yeah, just making sure that there's a little extra damage, especially when it comes to some of these battles. I appreciate the understanding that maybe these might be a little bit more gank heavy. Nice sidestep by Seos, though. Just like, hey, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the extra damage. So, early start here as we go ahead and get the 3-lane cam. Always a good time to watch for. For Bowl, you are positioned neatly in, weaving in those shock blasts, really keeping Devost down. And I love the fact that you aren't going for the empowered shock blast. You're not wasting mana on that one. Not only that, recognizing that if you empower a Shock Blast, it ain't going to get through the minion wave instead. So this might just be a straight up dive. Bull taking a look, but Devolst, a nice little charge up in the mid lane. Kane does the exact same, but Enga does a little bit more damage back here. Dive underneath Bull. What a flash away from Devolst, forcing a flash out of Bull as well.
Yeah, damage flashed there by the Cassante. Triple gank mid.
Oh my lord. Very nice jump on in. Karaoke gets a heal from the pot, and that will be the finish. Pain Gaming. Massive first blood.
Outplay this. Just triple gank into mid lane. Get flash twisted advanced. Enga can do nothing really. So really nice opportunity found by Pain. They get a massive pickup, and it goes into Kaney's back pocket as well. The Galio here really going to be appreciative of that early gold injection. Will be able to find some MR, stave off the power that the Rise has nice and early. You can just see the committal there. Really solid, really easy, really quickly done. Karaoke and Seos pair up off the rip. Flash twisted advance, knock them back with the Bramble. And that is a really well executed play.
I'm only hoping that they can continue to do this, because one of the big parts that they did is they allowed Kane to keep his flash. So keep in mind that flash that came in from Karaoke, knocked back. That Justice Punch from Kane was able to breach the distance from middle of the lane into where Enga was. So it will save more. That means your summoner spell up, which means you can repeat this gank if Enga decides to overstep their distance as well. So lot available here, just like right now. And Kane also going straight for the Negatron Cloak, by the way. Very, very annoying for Enga. But Enga, with that burn, that little death fire, will always be ready to whittle away at your HP.
Yeah, and that's really what you get here with the extra first blood. Henna flashes away. Seos takes a portal. But that first blood got the Dark Seal as well. So whilst Kaney is, yes, really, really tanky, there's a little bit of something that the Galio has, be it base damage, be it any stacks on the Dark Seal, that does mean that you are going to need to be respectful of the damage that comes out of this Gargoyle as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous to try and hit a rock as many times as you can without the proper equipment, and right now I don't think Enga's got it. Bull, though, stepping on forward, getting some good damage down, as well as with the magnetic field, a little bit of the AoE burn. Sometimes you can always assume that, hey, if I don't respect the damage, I don't respect it. But Bull not wanting to all in on Devolst, who obviously has that all out. Can't really take that chance, so Bull is just going to force him to recall here, which I really do appreciate. Bull trying to keep up the pace of this CS lead by nearly 2 waves, I believe.
And this was a pick that Devolst took, knowing that there could very easily be a Jace in the top lane, and Devolst has so far not died, which I think is the best case, but hasn't really been subtle in or hasn't been as gracious in losing as you might have liked. Obviously down, like you say, now 3 waves and a plate, forced back to base without teleport, trying their darndest to get some sort of safety in the build path, but Bull has been able to go back to base, pick up a tier and a cull, and then now gets to go back, picks up some boots to dodge out on those Entofu strikes, and then get a longsword for some extra damage as well. Bookie, I think looking in the mid lane here is a little bit futile, even with your level 6. This Galio, a very speedy creature, should just be able to walk away.
Just a little bit of a slow walk in. Kane just chilling out, and again, good ward vision though. So we saw Karaoke actually leave the jungle side just very quickly. Goes in and drops a ward, immediately keeping track as we get a very calm early game. This is reminiscent, obviously, of game number 1. Very steady build up, and especially with the level of positioning that you do give over to Hannah on this Caitlyn. Pain wants to make sure this pot lane gets all the leverage that they could possibly have. Really wants to make sure Hannah is going to be very comfortable moving into that mid game.
Yeah, and a small thing here as well, Henna. Early rip on the Caitlyn is the Berserker Greaves, looking for movement speed to really make sure that you can dodge out on Karma Qs, Ezreal Qs, make sure that your move speed is as high as possible, and not allow for those skill shots to be landing. And I think that's a really good pickup, nice and early for the Caitlyn, just to, like I say, alleviate some of that pressure. But now gets to work on all of the AD items that Caitlyn loves to build. Hex Optics can very easily come into the works, make Caitlyn even more of an obnoxious long-range carry, and try to tango with the Ezreal in that damage threat as well, or the range capabilities.
I think that'll be a very fun one to continue to see expand on out towards that mid game. But at the moment, I mean, you get a little bit of a lane swap. So surprisingly enough, we're going to send the mid laners down to the bot side. We're going to see if we can change things up a little bit. Henna and Seos joining on in. Dragon is obviously up and available, but it's because of these grubs once more that we always see this rotation. Buki, though, going to try something a little different instead of going straight for the grubs. Looking at a gank over the wall, and I don't think they're spotted out here, so they do get the jump in very, very freely, but Seos obviously has that teleportation, has a barred portal. Is able to get away out to safety, but with the damage numbers leading into Leviaton's space, Leviaton might actually have this grub's advantage.
All right, and that's just a little bit of a showcase of the power, I guess, of the early stages that this Wukong might have, being able to at least exert some sort of authority, but the rest of Pain are now interested in helping out their jungler. Karioka smites away one, and now they're going for Buki.
Oh my gosh, Buki able to get close to one, but unable to get either, as that's just a tempered fate holding him in place. And Karioka makes sure to get the tether on the wall, but Karioka cannot follow through. Now the damage is coming back. Henna is currently out of mana. Devos is on their way, but the damage is really being done. Strange tried to finish it up, but it ain't gonna work. And Pain take two. Lai Shiku now running in the opposite direction, and a Karma out of mana is a Karma without their life. They will look to hand the kill over to that mid lane, and Kane is off to the races with 3.
Yeah, 3-0 and 1 on the Galio, a very strong start, and it's just another really solid open by Pain Gaming. Leviathan just reaching a little bit too far into the cookie jar here. Karioka able to pick up what is a third grub for Pain, and I mean, for Buki there, a bit of a stinker as we get to see the replay of this one. He goes in, tries to annihilate down one of these grubs. Q's auto smite comes through, leaves it on 1 HP for Karioka to just get a little bit of a tick from a Fated Ashes. Does manage to get away here, but Henna gets jumped on, and then immediately all of Pain are ready to rally behind the Caitlyn. Seos here with some excellent positioning, blocking Q's from Ezreal, and Karma means that the Caitlyn is able to get away, uses the flash, uses the 90 caliber net to buy space. And that whole time as well, Kaney just finding kills in the mid side of the map. Now already out to a 5-stack Dark Seal, the Abyssal in the inventory as well. So this means that the Rise can do nothing.
As the other times of just watching a team kind of fall apart, you just watch them slowly get choked out. This is a 3K lead here in the early stages of the game. And if we see that continue to expand, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up the number charts, Pain Gaming are going to be indomitable here. We've mentioned that the composition spirals really around that Caitlyn, but if the front line is just too tanky, I mean, it doesn't matter if the Caitlyn is behind an item or so. You will be very, very strong. You can see that quick spike there, pretty much at around, I want to say that 8-minute mark, obviously. Very, very powerful.
Now a 3K lead here for Pain Gaming. This time, not centralized in that top lane, spread out quite evenly across all of Pain. Kaney, the first item picked up. Karioka as well has a first item in their back pocket, so relying on that mid jungle quite heavily. Obviously Karioka 4 for 4 on kill participation alongside Seos as well, and Kaney for that fact. So you can see where the core of Pain Gaming is looking to be built up. Obviously, this is a brand new roster. They've had 1 week of play together on stage and already looking to try to make some pretty impactful waves in this second, or in split number 2 here. Buki, though, ulti ready, looking for the flash having Jace.
Well, the Jace is able to flash away, but I like that the Cyclone was utilized as well. Buki just kind of sending it, really making sure he got to get away. And I love the thumbs up as well. Just like, yeah, you got me. You got me.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
I think unfortunately they didn't get him. He flashed away and he lived. Like the knock-up was there. Devos didn't time the Q3 well enough to be able to knock back. If that's executed properly, then there's just no way the Jace ever lives.
Yeah, I can also agree with that one. And right now, Devos is going, maybe I do wish I had gotten that kill out as much as possible, as the rest of the team is here. Seos able to dance underneath the tower, but that Empower Shock Blast is going to be doing enough. Forced to flash out on that end as well, but the rest of Pain is here. Henna is ready to go, but that entanglement directly underneath the tower is going to force you away. Karioka sends out that growth. The overgrowth is so painful to deal with, but it is Karioka just to deter even further. So a massive move by Pain as they attempted to reach into that top side bank.
Now with Henna able to probably get a couple of plates already picked up 2 on that top lane. It's playing Platelin, and it's playing it very nicely. As you just walk around the rift, try to get as much gold as possible. The fact that Bowl had put a little bit of chip damage down does ultimately yield the AD carry the fruit in the mid stage of that skirmish. And working towards what looks to be, I mean, Yuntile here, maybe just that BF sword, getting a lot there of damage out of the Caitlyn nice and early on. We'll see what Henna looks for in terms of that first breakpoint, but I think even still, everywhere on Pain is looking good. It's a small lead largely across the board, and once the team fights start to break out in a little bit more fluid fashion, we can expect to see Pain really come home with an advantage. Currently just 3,500 gold, but every single time that there's a fight, it keeps on growing. And there's a Herald spawning in 90 seconds. I don't expect that to be given over by Leviathan.
Yeah, it ain't gonna go too easily for them. They really gotta start fighting for their own position. Kaney stepping up and trying to stop some recalls here, but everyone just kind of walks away. You know what Galio ain't gonna be doing. Well, they might, but at the current moment, not doing too much on their own. DeVos maybe getting a little bit upset that Bowl is still able to kind of dance around them the entire time. For Bowl, it's just smart. Don't get too overwhelmed, but there's going to be the realm warp coming in here. Bowl walking away. Remember, no flash available. Very nice Rune Prison into the knockback, but a Tempered Fate holds them all in place. Gives time for Sayas to be here and also draw the TP in. It looks like Pain have opted to fight. Bowl dancing around the side. One more Rune Prison will take your life. But can you get a little bit more? DeVos and the rest of the squad is here. Karioka running around the side. Buki ready to run interference, and they actually decide to go back in. Cyclone is available. They'll send out the growth instead, but the heroic entrance just to stave off defeat. Fortunately, that puts Kaney in a position where they have to flash away, so some answers coming in from Leviathan.
Yeah, good. A really nice play to take down the Jace. Again, have to remember that the amount of people that have damage on either one of these sides is 2. So when the AD carries aren't there, there's actually no damage outside of these, outside of the Rise or the Jace. Taking down Bowl means that 3v3 that's happening, or 4v3 that's happening on the top side, is just exclusively winning for Leviathan. Likewise, if Henna was there, then you can be a little bit worried about how that fight's looking, but you got to see Kaney came down, did a boatload of burst damage, and then there was nothing else left in the tank. Similarly for Karioka as well, who you can see is opting into a much more magic damage build path than we tend to see from these Maokais. You might expect to see one Liandry's and then tank. There's a second Amptome in that inventory right there. Kaney's building towards the Imperial Mandate, it looks like, as item 2 for the Galio, so I do think that Pain here starting to realize, well, if the Jace dies, we are very heavily reliant on our Caitlyn, and if they're not there, that's a bit of a problem.
It's only a wee bit. No big deal there. It's only a small problem. Definitely a big one. This is something that they have to worry about here the entire time. Dragging up in about 20, as you mentioned. Tempered Fate is going to whiff on the side, but Sayos was just looking for an opportunity against Shiku. Buki is there to run interference, but at the moment, it's all about that setup. Keep eyes on where Bold currently is. You can see Bold currently rounding on the bot side. Tribrush. So for Pain, it's all about that attempt at a little bit of a sneaky spot. They want to try and get this collapse in and get the damage and kills.
I'm a really big fan of the combos I'm seeing from Henna on Caitlyn. Can be quite tricky, but is able to consistently, I've seen a few times now, get the EW combo down, which means that they're slowed by your net and then end up getting caught in the trap as well. Unfortunately, he's doing it against Ezreal, who just ease out of either one of them, so doesn't actually find too much success from it just yet. But the mechanics are there for this player. Again, spent a lot of time on the Rift. Spent a little bit of time in the LCS as well recently. Posturing now around this dragon to try and get a little bit of a foothold here as Leviathan go 3 people bot.
I like it. Hey, go ahead and go for it. You know Bull's on that side, so you might as well take it a shot. Now we get to see that movement coming in from Pain Gaming, though, utilizing that Herald that they had from earlier stages. Because there was an adjustment of 3 down to the bot side, Pain Gaming utilized that time to go ahead and send it straight into tower number 1. Breaks open the base, and now it's open to break into enemy jungle territory.
I did completely forget as well, and this is very, very bad from an LPL caster, but Henna was in the LPL last year, or this year even, part of the Ultra Prime squad that ultimately didn't really make it into split number 3, so this is very much a redemption split for Henna, trying to sort of showcase a little bit of their own power still. It was a disappointing 2026 so far, but needs to see a little bit more from them on this Pain Gaming side.
Do what they can for the moment, though. Everyone kind of getting their scraps together. Bot side tower taking quite low on the end for Leviathan. They're trying to push back on the top side here, but it ain't really going in their favor. And with a very nice clear and on top of a ward they stand. So for Pain Gaming, you're making your rotations. The gold lead has only expanded to a 4.2. Nothing too crazy for them, but it's enough to at least hold a little bit of weight when we see something like this. Bull just going ham on the auto attack pattern. It's taking a lot to cut through Devos, but you're making it happen. You are able to bring a Devos down to about 65% HP in there.
Yeah, and ultimately for Bowl, this is just free HP. That's what's happening here, is we're just attacking a target with when I've got Grasp up, and I'm just going to keep farming Grasp off of the Cassante. Obviously on a ranged champion, doesn't quite give you as much of a bonus, but still feels good to be able to get that little bit of extra HP in the back pocket as you move into that mid to late game. We've already seen how Bowl is the proponent of focus from Leviathan, so with a little bit of extra time here and a little bit of extra HP does give a window for his squad to get in early behind him and give him a little bit more safety. So we are now seeing, again, across the map, Pain seemingly coming out on top. Nobody top lane to answer Caney, who is going to pick up a second turret here for Pain Gaming. And again, what is the response? Well, Leviathan have put some wards down, and that's about it.
It feels very just lackluster. Leviathan getting pulled every which way. They made an attempt at a bot lane gank a while ago, but you can see here, Annie, Henna, Bull, all these players very comfortably sitting up there and just farming away as best they can. Pain just doing what they normally do, slow, methodical, but concise, and haven't overstepped. They haven't made any major mistakes. They've been consistent in when they push, when they fall back, always trying to keep eyes on where their own jungler is. So for Pain, I want to take a look at where they go from here. Baron is going to be spawning here in about 5 seconds, Dragon in 2.5, so I don't know where Pain go from here. Maybe it's just right back to the laning and just keep eyes on where the towers are going to be pressured, because I don't see anything until the next Dragon really for them.
It's definitely going to be difficult, and I think that maybe outside of looking at that bot lane, we're looking at the top lane instead, though. 3v2.
All right, well, I called it, but now it's just Leviathan fighting right back. A nice Severed Fate to hold them all steady, but a quick TP in might slow them all down. It's a double TP straight into the middle of the wave. Buki wants to go forward, but you can't get Bull. Bull is still alive. He lives by a sliver of a margin. And now Henna's here with the free auto attacks again. Once more, Devos is very, very tanky, though. Caney trying to stay alive, but that is destructive. It's only a 1-for-1 at the current moment, and Henna is now fully stacked on that lethal tempo. How many auto attacks are you going to get? That's TP straight into that mix once more. So keep in mind for Leviathan, they might not recognize this one. Bull comes in with a full head of steam and washes through their HP bars like nobody's freaking business. A taunt to interrupt the realm warp, and that is 4 dead overall. Thankfully, Strench gets something in the mid lane, but that's about it.
All 4 people from Leviathan that were up there did end up falling. Strench made the executive decision that this game is about him, and he's going to get as much gold into this Ezreal's back pocket as possible. Didn't come to this fight. Could have moved up behind the Caitlyn, and who knows how that would have turned the fight around. But it's a big win for Pain once more. Bowl able to jump on in and somehow survive here. Seos again proving his talent. Tempered Fate to buy time, then summon a heal plus Locket plus a couple of Caretaker Shrines. Keep him alive. He recalls and then is going to TP into the fight a little bit later. Now take a look at the weakness of AD carry. This is why people are playing mages, by the way. Henna, uptime, massive, consistently looking for these auto attacks. The second one skill shot comes towards him. Q3 has to flash away. Tries to get back into the fight. Immediately caught by one Karma Q and then just gets obliterated by everything that the Rise has to offer. Enger able to do a lot of dancing, gets away from a few skill shots, but the taunt comes down and does end up finding 4 for Pain.
I mean, 4 is still huge, though, and so we'll see if it continues to work out. Dragon up in about 5 seconds, but guess what? That brush holds a very nasty surprise. Bull sends a ball straight into Buki's face. Now we're looking for a little bit more. Clone dissipates, and shot straight to the back line with the ace in the hole. A lot of vision being utilized here by Pain, though, to keep track of where Leviathan are before this Dragon actually gets underway.
Yeah, Bloodletter's Curse now finished off for Carioca, so 2 full AP items, and I guess a little bit of a boost here from the Abyssal is going to be working out quite nicely. So we'll see whether or not Carioca can really get into the mix. Bowl playing on this lovely off angle is going to consistently get some poke down onto the back line. We'll see whether or not it's going to be he who is the force for for Kaney rather, to get in on.
Oh, they're going to hold off Bowl, just waiting for another Empowered Shock Blast. Seos inside of the mix, waiting for the opportunity, and there's the Winds of War, but in goes the Cyclone instead on the other side. But Buki is just obliterated right in front of their face, and with the jungler gone, there is no savior. Enga, who got tempered into oblivion. That Blacksmith's Hammer hurts at the right time. So Pain Gaming take everything that they could want, and Roodood, you called it. Pain Gaming off to the races for this game number 2 as well.
6.7 thousand gold lead here. Didn't mean to do it. Sorry, I said the number, but even still, we get to take another look at this fight, how it all broke down. It's a massive tempered fate on the back end to try to catch out Enga as well. So the nice dash forward from everybody else, and you can see Pain Gaming already immediately starting up with that Dragon, Baron even. They are on vision this entire time, but with 4 people committed onto the bot side, Leviathan know that there's not really anything they can do.
No, I mean, you just got to kind of watch it go down here, and it's a slow roll of death. You hate to see it, but this is a massive play from Pain, and Leviathan just kind of have to watch it. You know, you might be a Leviathan, but my gosh, is Pain the one bringing death and gloom about. Currently, gold is a little bit wonky. Obviously, you can see the negative number, but for the moment, Pain Gaming go ahead and recall, buy up, and are ready to really push this game to its limits. We're about 25 minutes in, and they're ready to kind of look at closing it out.
Yeah, and Strench there doing a good amount of work for the power play at this stage. Managed to secure an objective bounty and some platings alongside it down in that bot lane. But now's the time, like you say, for Pain to really put their foot down and try to find, I dare say, structural damage on the base. I think anything less than that with a 6,500 gold lead is a little bit disastrous. They've got good poke in the Jace, they've got great poke with the Maokai as well. If they end up just putting the ulti down, likelihood is that somebody is going to take a heaping load of damage as well. Wherever Devost goes, his job is just to try and stand and tank up the damage. Not doing a too bad a job of it just far. You can see if he stands on one angle, it gives a free rein for Bolt to fire from the other.
We'll go ahead and slowly move their way in here. And this bot side tower is the one that we're kind of watching. And look at this bottleneck, by the way. All 5 members of Leviathan underneath this tower saying, we can save this one. We got this. Realm Warp into the back.
Oh,
they're going to send the Cyclone in to fight. And maybe they got it, but Henna with a great flash over the wall. Heroic entrance to actually trade places with them. Bye-bye is Buki. And the rest are sure to follow. Keep in mind, that's not where you want to be. A flash forward in with a quick taunt, and the rest of the bodies bursted right where they stand. The eggs have been cracked in more ways than one, but they might have overstayed. Kaney left alone as the rest of Pain back away, but it was enough destruction for their name as a tower will also fall 2 for 1 and more. But hold up. I did not respect it. Strench gets an exit kill as well.
Yeah, and this Ezreal, a little bit left unchecked, does have a massive gold lead over Henna at this stage. Is 3 items deep, is now caught by Bull, though, isn't going to be able to bait the Jason, who doesn't face check the brush containing a Cassante. So we do need to be a little bit careful as Pain. Always a world where an Ezreal can go nuclear, especially against a composition that isn't overtly tanky versus this physical damage. I'm looking across the board, the Maokai has got a chain vest. Again, the armor from Azonia's for Kaney, but outside of that, a 3-item Ezreal is really going to do quite the significant amount of damage. He's going to need to here. 90 seconds until the soul spawns. Buki, oh my goodness, just getting melted.
I mean, the man only has a Triforce and the Sundered. I mean, this is the standard build, I get it, but my gosh. The stats don't exactly line up in your favor, and it hurts to currently see. Their power play is obviously a little bit weaker end, so Pain don't get as much as they wish they got out of it, but it's still a Baron to their name. So they're still hanging on for the moment. 5.6k in the lead. Another one to look at, though, Dragon. Right now, that soul point for Pain will be the next drawing factor, and Leviathan will have to contest against it, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, definitely a Baron to review for Pain there. I think they got a little bit deer in the headlights when they saw the fight being taken to them by Leviathan, and ultimately that bastion of a tier 2 turret down on the bot side did actually enough to ward them away. Strench, by the way, went back to base, picked up an entire spear of Shojin, so on this Ezreal, very scary.
Oh boy, and that's gonna be Buki as well. Buki's just gone!
Oh my god.
Buki got deleted with a single rotation from Kaney. You do not fight the Mecha Galio like that. A little bit of a Temper Fate is able to catch Strench, and Strench is taunted right back into the battle. Devos is going to be frontlining, but frontlining is only good for tanks, and you, my friend, are right now not as tanky as you wish. You have to scatter to the hills. And Pain send a resounding response to Buki, who has tried again to bring something for Leviathan.
I love the idea from Leviathan. They're using this Rise ult to start fights. They're putting the people who want to be in the backline into the backline, whether they like it or not, really. And unfortunately, the way that it's ended up playing out is as soon as they go into the Realm Warp, they just get taunted and die immediately. The problem with it is that the second that the Rise ulti goes down, there's a little dot, and that dot is a trigger to every single Caitlyn player. Put your trap here, put your trap here. And then when you land, you get trapped, you get taunted, you get bard stunned, and you just die. So there's no real counterplay open to Buki, open to Devost. I think that the Cassante is the better member to try to send through, because they can try and tank up the damage. But like you say, Buki has got 2 AD items, has got no real tank stats, and he's just getting shredded when he enters.
It hurts so bad, and you're just like, dude, this sucks. Like, come on, man. Let me do something here. And now it hurts even more, as I love that picture, by the way. Old school classic, by the way. The number of wards you can throw down. I just want to point that out. That's hilarious. This idea of we need to kind of push on, and we need this level of engagement, and you're just not finding it for Leviathan. Not just that, we're seeing even more so, this Galio is so brutal. Pain Gaming rotating as a squad is always free firing, always ready for the battle. And by the way, Seos on these Temper Fates have been brutal. These catches on the opponent, it's like a fishing net that you can't get away from. This Bard was an excellent pickup for the rest of the squad.
Yeah.
Kaney with a huge break on the topside tower is going to get even more space, more gold for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and you heard it, in the draft, I was a little critical of the taking of the Bard so early, especially when you could look for taking a jungle pick, but you get to see the power that Seos has, and what getting that Bard so early has done for Pain Gaming. Now on their second Baron, they've started up immediately off the spawn. Kaney on one side, they've got Bowl on the other, and Henna and Carioca looking to duo this one up.
I think they can do it for sure. You go ahead and watch as they're just waiting off on the line, and big options here as it goes quite low. It is going to be taken away by Henna, who snipes away that shot. But with the Baron going down, I don't think anyone on that side for Leviathan wants this fight to continue just yet, but they might be forced into it. There it is again. Buki stuck in the rock in a hard place, and both hurt like hell. That is Davos going down, and more to follow as the entirety of the Pain roster is healthy and ready to push with 5 Baron buffs.
And they just don't have the damage here, Leviathan. They don't have the access in these fights either. As it was Enga looking to get a little bit of burst down. Again, not quite enough. Now, like you say, 5-member strong Baron and the Soul Strench gets found. That's not the E.
That hurts. Bowl able to stop an ADC from getting back. What a twisted advance. Quick on forward to catch Enga and force the flash out as well. But look at Henna. Henna is free firing right now. This ADC composition is yielding results, at least for the current moment. Down goes the inhibitor. Space is broken, and Pain Gaming right back into it. Decide where you want to put your resources next.
Yeah, we've now got Infinity Edge for Henna, so those headshots, those crits, consistently dealing a metric boatload of damage. Realm Warp onto Bowl here.
And Bowl is just, I mean, this is, that I wasn't even worried. Chemtech just makes it so easy to get away. Now, I do have a question for you, Roodood. Are we... With a game where we've seen Pain Gaming pretty much always in control, do you think... Okay, I talked I was going to pause this question. I don't get that. Temper Fate straight into the body of this poor Enga. And remember, there's not much there to play for. Quick taunt in the back line as well, coming in for Kaney, who says, let's keep going. We're going to end it here. No worries about the possible Elder Dragon. We don't even need that. We're so far in the lead. Bye-bye goes the Volst. And Kaney is still on the chase. This is Pain saying, Ace 1, Ace 2... and we will ace your entire team shortly.
I mean, this is an absolute slaughter here. This is a really good series for Pain Gaming. 10k as a gold lead as they bear down on the Nexus turrets.
and this win could be the start of their walk back into the limelight. A squad that at the start, a lot of people still had a lot of questions, but the series has really given them a hope. 17-5, 4 Dragons to 0, 11K in the bank. They will go ahead and draft themselves a 2-0 victory here in week number 2 of the CBLOL summer.
And consider the food fully played with there by Pain Gaming. They were having a whale of a time just whacking down on Leviathan in their fountain, dishing out those skill shots, dishing the damage out. A complete demolition, really, of Leviathan. And that one felt more personal because that was team-wide as well. In game number 1, it was just Bowl who absolutely took over. Game number 2, everywhere looked good by Pain Gaming. Yes, there's a small advantage in the bot lane, but Leviathan weren't able to leverage that. Not really enough by Strench to get their team over the line. The Ezreal, not that 1v9 insane hyper carry that it needed to be.
Yep, it was tough. And honestly, for Leviathan, a lot of room for growth as a squad that maybe they have a chance a little bit later on, but they're running up against some teams that I think just have a lot to prove right now. Number one is you went up against a Pain Gaming that quite literally came close in week number 1, but they're a team that have a lot of anger behind them, a lot of weight from the fans as well. Looking into the future weeks as well, the strength of schedule might not be in your favor, but still, for Leviathan, give them a little bit of time. Maybe we are going to see growth, or unfortunately, maybe we see them flounder. Either way, though, Roodood, questions abound for both these squads still. A few.
Yeah, and you know, for Leviathan, I think this is a really important split. Obviously, they made a couple of changes this time round. They've looked into getting a new bot lane who didn't look awful in this one, but I mean, the difference between Seos and Shiku was astronomical. You could feel Seos on the map, and Shiku, you know, game number 1 didn't look too bad, it's worth saying, but in this second game on the Karma, she didn't have that same agency, that same output that we got from the Bard. So I do think that it's not necessarily just that bot lane, and I think that Buki in particular has really struggled today. Not necessarily getting out jungled by Karioka, but the decision making of Buki felt really off today. The way he's flashing forward, or the way that he's dashing into these fights as the Wukong, looking with the Rise ulti when he's not the target that can take that and do it successfully, feels like there's a little bit of a mismatch between what is actually obtainable and what Buki thinks can be done.
I think that's something that we will have to watch for moving into the future as well. Just where are they allowing the resources, and who's going to take control of the team overall? But let's not bask in the critiques. Let's bask in the glory of Pain Gaming getting a victory for themselves. Roodood, it's a great series to be able to kind of end your week on. Very proud of themselves, I'm sure. Is this showcasing a level of squad power? Are we seeing the cries of Pain Gaming, you think, rising to the upper echelons?
I mean, I don't know about the upper echelons, but definitely higher than we've seen from them previously. I think that's the really important part. We haven't seen this. I haven't seen a Pain Gaming series that good in a long, long time. And that was a real boost to the confidence, I think, for a lot of the fans as well that saw that or saw that series take place.
All right, well, we'll see if they can do even more. We are going to go ahead and end that here. This has been the CBLOL English side broadcast, at least for day number 1. Tomorrow will be same time, same place, I believe, starting at 11 a.m. CT. That's where I'm currently at, so I'll say it in my time zone. If you're looking anywhere else, it is about 12 p.m. ET and more so around the side. Just keep eyes on the socials, though. If you want to go ahead and take a look at the previous VODs, please go ahead and check out our YouTube channel over, I believe, at CBLOL English, where not only the VODs of us watching and, you know, casting over these are very, very enjoyable, but also the podcasts to go ahead and review previous weeks as well as look forward into the rest of the season are posted. Go ahead and show a lot of love there. We appreciate everyone who has tuned in, rated in, and stayed for all the gloriousness that is CBLOL. I want to give a big shout out to our awesome producer behind the big screen. It is VermilionRose. Thank you so much to them for making this happen. And Roodood, appreciate you joining on in. My name is Orbital. With me was also RMC on series number 1, and we will catch you all in the next.
fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the dark and sky.